Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
We still cannot hear you if you're talking, sir.
No, Professor, we cannot hear you.
Good afternoon, sir.
You can hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Very good. Excellent. Yeah, sure.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can some of you volunteer to tell me what are the things which we learned in the last class so that we can proceed appropriately?
Sir, I have newly joined this course, so this is my first session. So, yeah.
PPT was
Yes,
available in the LMS. Anyway, right? Okay. Go ahead, please. Hello.
What is the role of HR in the business management? In identifying the talent and retaining the talent and job description. I think HR plays a key role in the sustainable business growth.
Okay. Did we discuss about strategic management process?
Yes.
Okay. Then did we discuss about the importance of linking strategic planning and HR planning?
Yes.
Yes. Then we also discussed how HRM can be instrumental in helping competitive advantage for an organization. Don't remember?
Yeah, I think true. We remember.
Okay, fine. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We'll recap, but I'm just refreshing. Okay. Then did we discuss about the current situation? What's happening? Incidentally, are you all feeling more optimistic than a few months, let's say 2 months back?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Overall?
Yes.
Okay. Because yesterday I was reading one article somewhere which clearly said the COVID has not impacted the gross recruitment in technology and IT sector. You feel so?
I think so. Yes, I agree.
A very interesting article I read yesterday. Later on, what I will do, some of these articles, whatever I read, I'll take extracts and put it up in LMS for you. Okay. Anyway, so the overall scenario at least doesn't seem to be pessimistic. We may or we may not call it optimistic, but certainly it is not. Pooja says not audible. How about others?
We can hear you.
Clearly audible.
We
Okay.
can hear you, sir.
Yeah, very
Not a
good.
problem.
So two things before we go on into the class today. Number one, whoever is feeling that audibility or connectivity is a problem, quickly disconnect and reconnect. Mostly you will get it. Right. Number two, as far as possible, if there is no extraneous noise in the place where you are situated, right, then it's fine. Otherwise, if there is a noise around, keep your mic muted and open it only when you want to speak. Okay, because sometimes, when we are seriously discussing, if somebody else's mic is open, it picks up all kinds of dialogues, so which may not be interesting. Okay, right. Thank you.
I just have one question, Professor, before
Yeah.
going to that.
Mhm.
How the HRM can play while retaining the image of the company outside. For example, if they recruit some good people from IITs and other good institutes, so it's obviously it says a lot about the institute. But instead, if they just go and recruit from local colleges, I'm just giving an example. I'm not
Very
putting
good. Very
anyone down.
good. Very good. Good
I'm not
question.
putting
But before I
but-
proceed,
Yeah.
let me try to get your question once again.
Yes.
Are you talking about the HRM in the company? Are you
Yes.
talking about HR department in the company?
Okay, sir. The HR department specifically.
okay.
Yeah. I think it's very important when organizations see the structure. When the outside society see the organizational structure inside, when they think that some good, highly qualified people and reputed institutes, and then they feel good about the organization and company. And I think
whom do you blame in such cases?
That's what I mean. My questions. I mean, how this is.
For example, HR department is reporting to whom?
Management.
Management. Okay, maybe general manager, CEO, MD, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the buck stops there.
Okay.
Finished for everything. As the organization is concerned, buck stops there.
Okay.
So if last time that's exactly what we discussed when we talked about the human resources giving the strategic advantage for the organization is precisely that's what we discussed. Because today, what is not available? Everything is available for any organization. Resources are available, right? Financial resources are available. Technological resources are available. It's a kind of leveling. It's not like olden days. So the only difference between organizations is we people, the human being, right? So we make that essential difference, particularly in customer-facing roles. The role of the particular, or for that matter, all service industries, right? Because you must have heard there are 4 P's in marketing. When it comes to service business, there are 7 P's. I don't know whether you've heard about it or not. Okay. Now the additional 3 P, one of them is people. So people make the difference, particularly in service industry. Therefore, that customer-facing roles, wherever it is, right? It can be in purchase, it can be in marketing, it can be in any field, it can be public relations, corporate management, wherever. Such people make a difference between, essential strategic difference, right, between organizations. And that's going to be the winning. It's always been so. It is more emphasized now. So that's why it's not just about IITs, the IIMs. I mean, of course, the halo effect is there. I am also one from IIM, doesn't matter. But I have seen both sides. So let's not get carried away by the institutions to which people belong to, right? It helps in initially in quickly screening the candidates. That's all about it. After that, I don't think it makes such a big difference as we people are made out to be. So it doesn't make a difference. I have seen it all through my life. Okay.
Right. Thank you.
Right. So last time I mentioned about the Parliament approving the new labor code, and the permanent work from home is possible now. Government has relaxed rules. And the permanent work from, when I say permanent, I'm talking about a predominant portion of workforce, employees, now working from home. In the sense, the working from home is a kind of misnomer, right? We'll call it as working away from office. That will be more appropriate.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let's call it as not WFH. I would prefer to call it as WAO, right? Working away from office. Already a lot of customer-facing people had been working away from office, right? So it's only that the other people who are not into customer-facing roles are also, now people suddenly are discovering that why should I have such a big office? Why everybody should come here, etc., etc. Okay. Sometimes, these kinds of abnormal situations, pandemics also help us to restructure our way of working, our way of thinking. So this is one such occasion. So rapid reskilling is taking place. What directions, what technologies? Because everybody, what I call bandwagon effect. If somebody says, this is good, DS, data science is fine, there are hundreds and thousands of people. So we'll have to be balanced in looking at what kind of technologies, which domains where changes are taking place are likely to take place, the post-COVID situation. Right? And therefore, Correspondingly, leadership changes, competencies. Do we need new competencies? Do we have to reinforce the competencies which already knew were required? Because ultimately competencies are going to be role-based, not people-based. We'll discuss that a little later. So the question of trust, transparency, openness. When we are all together herded into one location, it was comparatively easier to manage. That's what we are thinking. Now today, the vast majority of people working from outside the office. So how do you manage this question of culture, trust, transparency, openness, etc.? And again, these situations have had a very, very great impact on the wellness, both the physical wellness and the mental wellness of people. So how do we handle these things? These are going to be the touchstone of the way we work and make our organization better, at least in the next 3 to 4 years to come. Right. So still lot many people have to send me these basic details because this will help me to put together the way we proceed forward. Okay. So I'm based on broad assumption, understanding I have of whatever data I've seen yours, right, in a limited fashion. I'm trying to look at it. Because one thing I believe is, how do you want to learn HRM? You want to learn as HRM as MBA students learn? Or you want to learn HRM as the universities learn, or as IIMs learn, or in a totally different way? In what way you want to learn HRM?
In what best the practical way that we can apply knowledge, or we can understand what's happening around in our company. Sometimes I do see the HR function may not have adequate training, or to be honest, I think what is practically applicable in the modern company organizations. That's the practical way of working. And if possible, after this training, if we can go back to our HR and then instruct them. For example, I just always tell our HR.
Hey, one sec. Again and again, let's make a difference between HR and HR department.
HR.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, doesn't matter. Because as we discussed, it's important. So let's not identify, right? HR department is equal to HR of the organization. Okay, we'll be discussing more of it as we go by.
But I think some changes should be brought rather than going in a traditional way. So I think the human resources should be, as you rightly said, a lot of things are changing. But that kind of thinking should also come in the organization, so that they should look at new sources and new videos and kind of things. So if that helps practically, I think that could be the purpose of that.
Fine. So if that has to work well, you will have to cooperate by giving details about you and what you want, how you want. So more I understand you, more I understand your functions, right? More I understand your expectations, then appropriately, based on the broadly, the kind of domains you come from, the functions you come from, we can orient our discussion subsequently.
Definitely, Professor.
So it's again in your hands, right? Yeah. So I can say, help me to help you.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. Last time we also discussed a little bit about talent and said that go and talk to, let's say, our colleagues and try to identify what kind of talent or talents you think they have, and vice versa. Any attempt did you make, any of you? Did we say that?
Yes, Professor. That was
okay. So anyway, it's never too late. You can try it in the evening. In the next class, we'll discuss. But anyway, we all agreed that the old saying that talented people are born, right? It's not necessary. Each one of us can become as talented as we can. So in fact, my view has always been excellence is not a destination, but a journey. And I've given some indication to you. I'm working on that theme itself for quite some time. No problem. No problem. Fine. Go ahead, Srinivas. Whatever. Because life is still too long. We have got enough time to do a lot of things. Okay, so we discussed about talent management and said that people can, right? But looking at from the organizational point of view, what is important is we should be able to attract top talent. Then we should motivate them so that we should be able to retain the talent with great difficulty we had acquired. So nurturing and then maintaining and nurturing and also retaining the talent is one of the most difficult things for every organization. So that is where somebody, when they talked about IITs, IIMs and all that, it is presumed, it's something like, when we were in school, we used to say this particular school always gets first rank in the state, right? Or 100%, etc. If you go back and see in the selection of students, they would have always had a tough selection. And then they would have selected only the best, academically best students. A small sprinkling of people who are good in sports, others they will take, because they will go and, as they say, school ka naam roshan karega. So like that in sports and all, they will recruit some sports quota. Otherwise, most of the students, they will select based on tough academic criteria. Obviously, when the input is very good, obviously the outcome also will be good. The teachers will be made to slog, and the school will continue to get better and better ranks and produce more ranks of students. So what is the basic thing here? The basic thing is the kind of grouping of talent, because in schools, academic talent is considered the highest requirements. So that's how the attracting. So when somebody talked about IITs, IIMs, so it becomes easy when you have talent. Similarly, why IIMs and IITs are good, right? Not because those people are somebody who has come from heaven or something or special. It is just because through the grueling, tough process, when so much of competition is there, the top 2%, 3%, 4% get selected out of so many people who think. Obviously, they will have to be good. But at the same time, if you, I think some of you would have been products of IITs and IIMs also in this group, right? As we go by, we'll find out. But you will know that it's not easy. After going there, the internal rat race is something different. And lot many people couldn't take pressure. And therefore, many people get out of that institutions and term one and term two. And unfortunately, some of them go half mad or full mad. Going mad after doing the 2 years is different. That's for a different reason. But internally, a lot of things happen. And finally, obviously, do this churning, right? With, again, most important, remember, it is the quality of the faculty is very important. You can't produce mediocrity, excellence with mediocrity. Therefore, the combination of infrastructure, the faculty, and the level of students, all the three combined, they produce. Same thing, apply it in organization. You got it. That's a recipe for success. Right? And in organization, multiple functions are there, right? And you are also operating in a very competitive situation. It's not only what I do and then produce. Therefore, you need such talents to be recruited in an ideal way, right? I'm mentioning ideal way because practically it doesn't happen. In an ideal way, if you can do it and then nurture them and then keep them, motivate them, then obviously the organization will be good. 2-3 weeks back, the former CEO of Hindustan Unilever, now one of the Unilever board members, he was commenting that this Unilever has been the kind of what to say is a good portal from where CEOs come out and who have done very well in other organizations. It is true. Always the kind of systems they have been having, I have seen them from right from 80s. the kind of systems they have. So good. Similarly, companies like Nestle, a few other companies I know, at least in consumer products, and even companies like Siemens, right? Many of them I know. And some period of time, L&T was so good in nurturing. BHEL was very good at one point in time. Why I'm saying all this is because it's not confined only to private sector, not only to MNC, but lot many organizations were having very, very good structured method of capturing people at different levels, inducting them and doing it. So that is what is important in talent management. And as I said, identify critical roles. All roles are important because it doesn't, non-critical roles don't use the word. I'm using the word critical roles. So important roles, and out of which critical roles. What is critical? Critical means the functioning of the rest of the people to a large extent depends on the good functioning of this particular role. So that's why I call them as critical roles, right? So it is something like if you take any automobile or anything like that, all the parts are important because without even one part, you can't keep running it. But there are some parts like machine, the heart of the automobile, which is very, very important, right? Or the linkages, connectivities between different parts of the machines is very important. So those critical roles one has to identify, and then those roles you have to nurture and maintain, get the best of the talents. And then if the organization culture is a high performing culture, right? Then obviously there is a internal motivation by competition amongst individuals. It's a healthy competition to perform better and better. And therefore the overall employee performance increases. That's what I call sometime back as march towards excellence. In effect, what is excellence? Excellence is nothing but whatever we are doing today better than what we did yesterday, and trying to do tomorrow better than what we do today. And in that process, keep benchmarking. We are in a competitive situation. Look at other organizations. Are we doing better than them? Of course, we have done better than them. It's something like saying that I used to jump, let's say 5 feet 10 inches in high jump. Now I'm improved to 6 feet 2 inches. Excellent. But then even the 10th rank in the world, right, in Olympics or somewhere is already jumping 6 feet 6 inches or something. So my best is not good enough. So I'll have to keep on marching forward, right, in the path of excellence. And that is exactly what the talent management process is meant to be. Therefore, this talent strategy to identify key positions, develop talent pool, and develop differentiated HR architecture. Because not one set of rules apply to everybody else. You necessarily have to apply different set of rules, right? In terms of development, I'm talking about, to the critical talent and potential. Look at people who can do their current job best, people who can do current job best and also have potential to take many more new things which are slated by the organization, right? Therefore, shift the emphasis from activity-based to outcome-based, so that role holders must contribute to the critical organizational objectives. And that should be the hallmark of a good talent strategy. So yes, attract those who want, recruit the right people, assess them correctly, develop them carefully, retain those who want, and plan how and how many, and all this linked to the strategic management process of the organization from which the HR strategy flows. Therefore, create a talent pool, what we call the inventory of skills. So develop talent in the organizational context rather than for specific roles. You will read more about this or learn more about it when you come to term 3, trimester 3, strategic management, where we'll be talking about the critical competencies and capabilities are not product specific, should be market specific and organization specific, so that the competencies can be easily leveraged to do many, many new things, not just what you are doing today. So that's important, even in the case of the human beings. Therefore, if we are able to have people development, right, looking at talents, improving of talents, looking at the forward looking roles and not just fitting the current roles, right, then this will be very, very helpful for the organization. That's what all these MNCs have been doing for a very, very long time. So they take talent, they nurture them, and the system is such that those who cannot mesh, right, with the system, right, either they leave or they are thrown out. It's not that they are bad, but in this particular system, they can't function. And therefore, such organizations have always become better and better over a period of time. And that's why if you see in the list of top 500 companies in the world, right, go through them, right, every 5 years, and you will see such organizations have always remained for the last 30 years, 50 years, 100 years, 150 years. The rest of the people, right, have fallen by the wayside. So I said, I think this is where we stopped last time, where we will go and plan a comprehensive hire to retire HRM system. So how do we do that? Recruit, select, retain, keep nurturing the right talent. Okay. Did we go through this case study, CSC?
No, Professor.
No. Right.
So, no, sir.
Very good. So may I request each one of you, like last time, volunteer to read one page, one slide, then we can move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
So I'll read the first one.
Yeah, sure.
Seema is a senior employee of CSE System Private Limited, having its headquarters at Delhi and branches at all major cities in the country. The managing director of the firm has asked Sinha to head its southern branch at Bangalore as a regional general manager.
Continue, sir.
Yeah, so the firm has been quite successful since its inception in 1950s, but has witnessed high turnover, particularly among its younger staff in the last 5 years, more so in the Bangalore region. The MD is convinced that the problem is not salary, because a recent survey indicated that the firm's salary structure is competitive with over 50 medium-sized competitors.
Yeah.
Done, sir.
One sec. Okay. Next.
The managing director, this is Pandan, sir. I can continue
sure.
the next.
Hmm.
Yeah. The managing director wanted Sinha to find out the real reasons. Having settled in Bangalore, Sinha decided to use the personal interview method with some key employees and also meet few senior and middle managers to understand why the Bangalore branch has had such a high attrition rate, particularly amongst the younger staff. Of course, the position is similar in employee turnover in other branches also, but not as much in Bangalore. Krishna, age 46, accountant, stated that the younger staff lacked dedication and failed to appreciate the career opportunities provided by the firm.
Thank you. Next. Somebody else, please.
Gowda, age 52, assistant manager operations, said the younger employees were always complaining about the lack of meaningful feedback on their performance. And many mentioned that they would like to have a mentor in the organization to assist with their development. Gowda further explained that the firm does provide performance rating to its staff, and the previous manager had always maintained an open door policy.
Okay, next.
Manohar, age 39, assistant manager systems, said that he has received complaints that training was not relevant and was generally dull. He explained that various persons in the firm who worked with training from time to time
acted mainly on guidance from Delhi headquarters, not understanding the special requirements of the Bangalore branch business. Radha, age 35, assistant administration manager, said she believed that the root of the problem is the absence of an HR department. However, she said that when the idea was mentioned to the MD during his earlier visits to Bangalore, it was completely rejected.
Okay. Does it sound familiar? This kind of situation you have come across?
Yes, sir. It
Most
is
of it?
there.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
HR department is there, but they are.
But they're in some
Yeah.
corporate office. They're not there in the
Hey,
office.
hold on. We have still not come to the questions. Okay. Now, what role does or should HR department play in organization? Having looked at the case.
They should connect to people, sir. They should connect directly.
Hey,
They should care.
no, all this is a broad statement like politicians.
They
Let's
should
come to
arrange proper
specifics.
learning. There should be proper learning development department within HR.
Okay. Yes.
Appraisals should be handled systematically.
Appreciations to be done on a appreciation and a recognition to be done.
And there should be a redressal forum also, like where they can complain directly.
Okay. Did we discuss about various functions of HR at least broadly in the previous session? Not department, I said HR functions.
Yes, sir. Like, I mean, how the HR.
Starting from manpower planning, recruitment, selection,
Yes, talent,
performance management, blah, blah, and all that. We put one slide in section 1, module 1. Okay. So all of them are supposed to be done by HR department, at least organized, right? So if any one of them is missing, then that means that particular function is not being done or not being done effectively. Okay, now coming to this organization is a large branch of a big organization, CSC Systems. Okay, Bangalore branch. Now, as we have seen, the attrition, people leaving this Bangalore branch is much higher than compared to other branches. We also saw from this case that many of the managers feel that the younger crowd in this organization, but we are talking about Bangalore branch, seem not to be happy with performance management systems, with the way they are being treated, etc., like that. And the current middle management seems to think that younger people are so, right? Younger people don't follow sets of rules. They are not so and so. They have their own typical what you call stereotype thinking about the younger people. Okay. Now, do you think that Bangalore branch needs a HR department?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. What is the reason? Just tell me one or two reasons only.
So whenever the employees are having an issue, then directly can approach a HR as one point of contact, so that I can connect with the other managers.
Okay, fine. Then,
as it is mentioned clearly that there are specific needs for Bangalore, and the plan given from Delhi is not applicable here in terms of training also.
Okay.
So such specific things need to be taken care locally.
Okay. Right. All right. Let's go with these reasons for now. So the MD is supposed to visit shortly, because earlier he has rejected this idea. Now, how will you justify? Assume that I'm the MD, right? So any one of you can tell me just one or two sentences, right? Why Bangalore branch needs a separate HR department?
Because all are facing like a lack of job satisfaction there, sir.
So HR department, if I have, job satisfaction will be there? Is it ipso facto?
Attrition level is high. So Bangalore work environment. HR department is something like a connecting department. Like they can connect with multiple teams and those things. And if there is
they
something
can address their problems to the HR, and that will be directly, sent to the MD. So that's like a chat.
So they will operate like a post office.
There is a lack of disconnect, lack of connect between the employees and management from Delhi. It is, I think, it's very much impossible to know and understand what is happening here in the Bangalore.
Correct. Okay. So now, because this is a case-let, right? It's a short case. You don't have much information, so we'll have to assume many things. All right. Now, generally, any case which we have to decipher, by and large, we should confine ourselves to what is given in the case. We should not have too wild assumptions. At the same time, we can't go outside and think something different from what is given in the case. That's exactly the purpose of a case discussion. So in this particular case, there are a number of branches are there, and presumably none of the branches have HR department. Presumably, right? And the HR operates out of head office, which is Delhi or something. Yeah. Okay. Naveen, welcome. Yeah. Now, the question is, if MD were to accept, then every branch, they will have to create a HR department? Yes or no?
So since it's a rate, maybe they can start with the Bangalore.
It will. Starting. The question is not where you are starting. The question is, should
depends on the strength of the employees.
Based on the strength of the employees.
Problem is in the Bangalore branch only. The attrition is more in Bangalore.
Okay, so there are two assumptions. One, other branches where problems are not there because we don't have information in the case. It says that attrition is there everywhere, but Bangalore is more. That's all it says. Okay. One. Then the second thing is the HR department. If you see in this case, there's a girl called Radha, woman, whatever. Okay. And she was administration manager. This is typical in many of the branches.
Yes.
You may not have somebody designated as HR, but somebody will be called administration manager or executive who will coordinate all the requirements of that particular branch.
Yes, sir.
So presumably that girl may be trained and then maybe delegated certain responsibility from the HR department. Because right now we don't know whom that lady is reporting to. So maybe that lady can have a dual reporting to HR department as well as to the branch manager. Possible?
Yes, so.
Maybe. Yes. Don't take these are the ways in which all these caselets are not, they are meant to illustrate certain viewpoints. So this is all the training that we are going to collectively have. So don't think only in one direction. Do we require HR department? You don't have to say yes or no. What is important is the HR functions need to be fulfilled effectively. Correct? So that has to be done. So who will do it, how will do it is a matter of detail. Okay. Usually is fine, Rajendra, but should we have or not have, it depends. Because having a department has got its own cost-benefit analysis, right? Sometimes you may create functional silos by having HR department or any other finance department, etc. So it depends. Now again, it depends on the corporate organizational structure, right? Whether you follow a divisional strategy or a functional strategy, or they follow a mixed strategy. It depends on so many things. I mean, much later, if time permits, we can discuss that, right? My only point is, don't go only on the basis of slaughtered X or Y, or yes or no kind of thing. Think what is the real issue and how that needs to be sorted out. And in that process, what are the options available and which options, how we can recommend. Okay. So that's how one I would request you to look at it. So what I would do probably is I will say that yes, HR function needs function, there is, as somebody rightly said, there is no focal point, right, as far as HR function is concerned, because each functional manager may be looking at his or her own function. Therefore, only escalating issues when they become big. Remember, on organizations, issues become so big, many times it is dormant for many long period, and during that period the good people leave the organization. You are stuck with people who cannot leave for some reason or other. So afterwards it became too late even to address the issues. Okay, so in this particular case we all have to probably say that yes, there are many HR functions which need to be addressed very carefully, and not addressing them seems to be reason for many ills, ILLs, what's happening in this branch. Therefore, what should we do? Then we'll say, yes, there is an administrative manager. Whether we can train that administrative manager, use reporting to HR department and also coordinating with other functional departments in this particular branch. Maybe MD will agree, right? He can do that. And afterwards, you can convert it into full-fledged HR section, department, whatever name you call it later. And then if become necessary, this model can be replicated in other bigger regions also, right? Any comments?
Yes, so I think this is an appropriate solution for time being.
As a starting step, I think we should go with that approach, because we can train that admin manager and she can work on that. And as a full-fledged thing, once she sees the problems and solution, then they can form a separate department or functional role.
Because my basic point is, don't look at solutions in terms of roles, in terms of departments. Look at solutions in terms of functions and requirements for that branch or the organization or a product division. And then you can see how to structure them. That's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. Okay?
Sure, sir.
Yeah. Before we proceed, I have a little problem. There seems to be a little registry issue, right? If any of IT people are there, you can read this and then help me. The reason why I'm showing this is, as of now, no issues. In case it disconnects, I will reconnect once again, right? It's not happening right now. It says RTL120.bpl was not found. Reinstating the program may fix. I don't know which program it is. It says auto update system error. So that's what it says. So for the time being, I'll park it in the side. In case there are issues, if it goes off, I will reconnect once again, right? So if anybody can help later, send a message or something, it's fine. You have my mail ID also, I'll think. I try to use Casper Sky and all that, but it didn't help yet. So we'll see.
Yeah, sir. The antivirus is the one which is having problem. I mean, antivirus software uses that file.
Okay. So maybe I used CC to clear out some duplicate files. That must have had a problem.
Yeah.
Maybe I will remove that CC file itself and then restart later on. We'll see. Thank you. Okay. Now come to the interesting question. Who is responsible for HR in an organization? I've got three choices. HR department staff and managers. Operative or functional managers in the company, they are responsible. Then third option is operative managers as well as HR department managers. So which option?
Third option.
Huh?
All the options.
Option C.
All the options. No, only one of them. You can.
I would go for C, sir.
Option B it is.
C.
Okay. Quickly type it out. Let me see how many A's, B, C's in the chat box. Just quickly. Okay. B, C, yeah, B. It's B, yeah. C, okay. A, yeah. A also find somebody, yeah. Okay. Martin says only A. Good. Let's see. B, yeah. C. B. Good. Okay. Now, take this answer for now. The correct answer as of now is C. We'll go through that, why it is so. Okay. But with a proviso, every operating manager is in essence a HR manager. Remember, every operative manager, to that extent, it is B supplemented by C or B supplemented by A. Okay, whatever way you want to call it. So HR specialist, I call the people, managers and the staff in the HR department as HR specialist. They design the processes and systems, while operative managers are an integral part in implementing them. Right? So that's what we need to understand. In the entire study of HRM, this will be our focus. We will not talk about HR department, this, that, etc. We'll talk about HR function. And then appropriately, we'll find what roles should be played by the functional managers and what role should be played by the HR specialist. Incidentally, many of the organizations have somebody positioned in branches or divisions called HR partner. Some of your organization may have?
Yes, sir. HR business partners, they call.
What is the role of such people?
They basically interact with the business leaders and their team. If there are any issues or anything coming across, so HR business partner will play a major role in understanding the issue and make sure that it is resolved and give some confidence to the management that everything is taken care. That's the main important role by HR BPs.
So, was this not the solution I gave for the case study?
But Radha was part of admin.
That's what I'm saying. Basically, we are talking about somebody to be designated as HR partner.
Absolutely, but our role was admin manager, right?
No, forget her role. I'm talking about the solution that we gave finally.
Absolutely.
So that is what is important. So let's not get bogged down by the words, department, section, etc.
For example, in our company, what has actually happened, like we have multiple, like 5 or 6 business vertical. Each vertical has a HR business partner.
Exactly.
And also supplemented with the HR operations. So they take care of a different role altogether. But HR business partners' main focus is with the business and the business leaders. And make sure that there are no issues. If at all the issue comes up, they make sure that they step in immediately and make sure it is resolved with top priority.
Good. So we will, as we go by, probably we'll discuss a little more about HR department role, etc. What kind of roles they should play, what kind of roles operational managers should play, etc. But right now, you stay with me with the concept that every operative manager is in a sense HR manager. If somebody has got any objection to it, please let me know. Let me know in the sense, give me the reasons why you think it's not correct. Silence is taken as tacit.
Agree, sir.
Agree, and more or less, sir, like operating manager, when you say, even his role is to motivate the team and make sure his team members are up to date with the skill sets, and they have to. His main role is to be basically motivate the team members and understand his problems, motivate them before going to the HR business partner. So even he'll be held one of the responsible person to manage his team and make sure things are going smoothly.
You say one of the, in my opinion, he is the, or she is the.
Yeah, he or she.
Okay.
But like the operating manager necessarily does not have the hand in, I mean, when it comes to the talent management side of things, I mean, benefits and his, I mean, the whatever, the hikes mainly. So yeah, he has a say. Yeah, I mean, appraisals, everything. He has a say in how much he will give the rating and analysis. I mean, the performance analysis. But when ultimately the outcome is how much I mean, performance to money, that conversion, that operating manager necessarily does not have a hand in that, because that comes through the HR from the senior management.
Sure. So what we will do for now, we will park that question safely. When we are going to discuss in next class performance management, we'll take it up once again. Okay?
Yeah, sure.
Right. In addition to that, probably I think the next case study will be more on that. Okay? the part 2, set 2 question, the case study, I have not yet uploaded.
Sure,
Will be
sure.
probably on that. One of the issues will be that. So
Okay.
we will handle it subsequently, right?
Okay, sir.
This aspect of it. So non-HR managers, the operative supervisor must also be familiar with the basics of HRM and their own role with regard to managing human resources. Because in my opinion, right, HRM is a responsibility of every manager. The HR professionals should design and make decisions consistent with the legal ethical principles. But the operative managers would interact with HR department to implement the policies and procedures in a fair and transparent way. Many times the problem arises because the functional managers think that HR is a separate department. I am operations man, production man, okay? HR department, this is different, okay? They think that, right? Second, many of them are not kind of trained in the human resource management in a particular way, in a proper way, right? And that is the reason why the HR department came into existence long back. It actually, if you see the genesis, much before the department, the administrative manager always should take care of the so-called personal management. Later on, the personal management department came. The HR name was not there. Okay, it used to be personal, PRSONNEL, personal management for a long time. Before that, actually, it was labor relations manager because a few management people and everybody was labor. So the labor welfare manager, then personal manager, then personal and labor welfare manager, then HR manager, then afterwards the HR capital manager, etc. So different names as fruit. But fundamentals have never changed. The operative managers are the ones who will have to manage the people allotted to them. All aspects of them. So, but then since their functional speciality is different, therefore you brought in people called HR professionals, right? Who would help the functional managers, right? They design and make decision which, based on the legal and ethical principles, and wherever possible they interact with the legal consultants and others and help, right? It's a question, it's all based on the division of labor concept. Somebody who a specialist looks after production, somebody who specialist looks after finance, somebody looks after, but all the same. The basic function is, the responsibility according to me is of every manager to manage the people allotted to them, to him or her. So as we go by, we'll see more and more. If let us say you have got a job in your department, you want to recruit somebody. Now, who writes the defining the job? Is the functional manager or the HR manager?
Functional manager.
Right. Functional manager.
Correct. So see, that's
functional
one of the
manager.
That's one of the HR functions. Now, how many people I need for operations forecasting HR needs? Who does it? Functional manager again.
Managers, yes.
Then, once they are allotted, who does the training, induction, on-the-job training, etc., etc.
Functional manager.
Functional manager.
Right? Orientation will be done by HR, right?
Orientation is only about company policies, giving them nice tea and folder, company rules and regulations. That's all HR will do.
Maybe a back case.
Whatever needed. Okay.
Okay.
Then, who interviews and selects candidates finally?
So there'll be multiple.
Functional manager.
No. Finally, who decides who should be recruited for a particular
functional manager?
Functional manager.
Right. Then, once the parameters are designed, who appraises performance?
Functional manager again.
Now, based on that, who should be promoted? Who should be given more increment? I'm not talking about how much. I'm talking about who, right? Who recommends that?
It's obviously our managers.
Correct.
Functional.
Then whatever the policies of the companies, various things, right? Who communicates the workers from day to day?
Functional. Yeah.
Then who has to motivate the people working under you, managers? Again, the functional manager.
Managers, yes. Yeah.
Absolutely, sir.
So why did you not accept when I said each functional manager is in essence HR manager? Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Anyway, the door is not closed. We'll keep discussing it more.
Sure, sure.
So when I talk about HR management cycle and HR strategy, we started with business strategy and goals. And from there, we derived the HR strategy. Then we started writing. I mean, in the sense, we'll be doing all this. I'm just saying HR planning, then recruitment and selection, performance review, induction, training and development, then performance review management, then compensation rewards management, legal and employee relations management. So all of them are part of the human resource development function. If we do this properly, then we'll get the right business results.
Is it break now?
No. Don't worry, the break will be announced.
Yeah. Okay. So no, because we lost the screen. That's the reason.
For a few milliseconds, you will lose when I shift from one PPT module to another. Okay, what's a job? We're all heading what job, etc. What is a job?
Where we perform all the tasks, the given tasks.
Where you perform. Okay. Location? You say when
office.
You use the word where?
I mean the office.
Office. Okay.
It is completing the given task either in office or in the production or wherever assigned site by the organization.
Okay.
And
maybe that's better because when you say office, correct. When nowadays nobody goes to office, so that means no job is done.
Work with the
role of a person.
Okay.
Performing something under a certain tool, sir.
Oh, fine. So somebody said role and job. So let us see the different. I mean, the difference or the connection between the two a little later. See, the concept of job was created during around the Industrial Revolution because the work was organized into processes. Much earlier, in a kind of village situation, the same guy used to do everything. Later on, the concept of division of labor and then the work processes came in. So at each stage of the process, people were assigned to perform specific task, right? Somebody mentioned about task. The genesis of that is this. And when they have completed their specific task in the process, that is the job, right? Then the goods were handed over to the next workstation in the process. That's a different job, okay? So the entire sequence was split into multiple portions and each was considered उनका job कर दिया है तो उसके बाद ये job उन्होंने करेगा. So like that you keep on saying, and that's how the concept of job came in, right? And to do the job, you needed something to be specified in terms of a designation, right? And then that's how the designations came in. And when the designations came in, then designation plus job became the indication of a role. So that's why an individual became a role holder. And as a role holder, the person will do a job, right? And with a certain designations. So this is the sequence of the historical evolution. Therefore, the job can be defined as collection of or aggregation of tasks, duties, responsibilities, which are assigned to individual employees in the process of workflow. So jobs are defined, therefore the task content is to be specified. Then the sequences have to be identified. Then they will have to be assigned to people. Then that particular job should be related to a position in the hierarchy. Then subsequently you also have to identify the interconnection between different jobs, because as we said, a portion is done, handed over to somebody else, the next process takes over, etc. Therefore, in any organization, we should have right people to handle the appropriate job roles. So what do we do now? So we have to have a proper recruitment and selection plans and procedures, which should be fair and transparent. Because always says to get the right people for the right job. Okay? What is right? Who decides? We keep saying it again and again. We get the right people. Right? Or people say, I must get the right job. Why didn't you join that company? That is not the right job for me. Right? We say it so many times, isn't it? So, but looking at from organizational point of view, we need to be fair and transparent in whatever process that we adopt, not get influenced by any personal or extraneous factors. So how to do that? The process starts with what we call job analysis. So the job analysis captures job relevant responsibilities, requirements, and critical competencies for success in the job. It is an accurate, complete writing down of the understanding of the position. Then once this is written, then it becomes easy, because this becomes a touchstone or a benchmark with which we can use and then construct the appropriate selection tools, methods, etc. Then develop a rationale in terms of if so many people are coming in, right, more number than what we require, what do we do? How do we select, etc. Okay. Therefore, job analysis is the most important and the first thing that we need to do, right? In fact, one of your assignments is job analysis. So we'll discuss this a little more in detail today. The important concept of job analysis is the analysis conducted on the job and not the person. I reiterate, focus is the job, not the incumbent current person. Therefore, when we want to describe, right, a set particular role, a position, then we should look at what the role holder should do and not what the current role holder is doing. Please understand the difference. We should say what should be done, right, how it should be done, and who should be doing it, and the quality, the qualifications, the capabilities, rather than who is currently there, how he or she is doing. That's important. By studying it, we'll be able to find out. We'll see how the data to be collected. So the data obviously we collect from the existing employees through interviews and questionnaire. And the product of such analysis will be a description of and specifications for the job, not a description of what the person occupying is currently doing. So first, collect record job information, check the job information for accuracy, write the job description based on that information, use this information to determine the skills, abilities, and knowledge that are required on the job when you go out for recruiting people. Then keep updating this information from time to time. Because what was relevant 5 years back is no more relevant. Because the job content might have slightly changed, the requirements have changed, the man-machine interaction must have undergone a change. Therefore, it becomes necessary to redraw the process of job analysis and therefore the job description and the job specification. So what are the information we need for job analysis? Identify the job. Then what is the significant characteristics of the job? And what a typical worker does or rather should do. So we will identify the job duties, In that, what materials, equipment the worker uses, and with that, how the job is performed. What are the required personal attributes? And if there is going to be interconnection, there will be, because all functions are interrelated and interdependent, because we are talking about a workflow. It has to be. The workflow can be internally connected, externally connected, and both internal external connections may also be there for many roles. So the methods to collect data will be one by observation and if necessary recordings, then structured interview with structured questionnaires with the interviewer holding it or distributed, collected and rechecked later. Then checklist of duties. Then we conduct and participate in technical conferences, both inside, outside experts, wherever, get more information because we are in a competitive workspace. So we need to know how similar jobs are being done elsewhere and what are their current practices. Then we also what we call the work diary methods. Very long back, the first thing which I introduced when I was heading an organization was all the field people to carry a work diary, to write down a few things, whatever we specified. That became a very, very excellent methodology for us to not only track what they are doing or not doing, but also to understand how they are doing. And that became helpful for the supervisors to look at the down below people and for the managers to look at the supervisory functions, etc., etc. Some people used to call it as log, some people used to call it work diary, then nomenclature differs. Generally, when we mention so many methods, right, usually a combination of methods are used, right? For clerical administrative jobs, questionnaires supported by interviews, some limited observation, good enough. For production jobs, extensive work observation supplemented by interviews required. Many of you must have heard about the scientific management by Taylor. Did you?
No, sir, we have not heard. I have not heard this.
Oh, interesting. How many of you attended 2-3 days back? There was one online specialist lecture. We all of us attended.
Yes, I do. I attended.
In that also it was mentioned?
Sir.
Okay. How many of you have done engineering? Some of you have learned industrial engineering anytime? Have you heard the word industrial engineering?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We heard it.
Heard it.
Yes, yes.
So,
Yeah.
okay. Go back. So I think it looks like either you are not familiar with that or you might have forgotten. Doesn't matter. So when the Industrial Revolution took place, that was a time when the orientation was not marketing orientation, it was more production orientation. Because what was needed was items to be manufactured and then supplied to the needy locations. The organizations which are able to produce faster, right, used to take the cake. And those organizations who used to do it more efficiently, right, used to benefit better in terms of profitability. Therefore, the thought came that when the jobs processes were split into multiple processes and each portion of the process was being handled by somebody, then in which case, how do we make the overall operation better? That's how the concept of scientific management came up with Taylor, right, being the engineer who was instrumental to that. That is when afterwards only the concept of industrial engineering came based on that. At least you must have heard about work study methods and all that. Some of you, right? All of them came at that particular point in time, right? So basically it's simple. Don't get too much worried. What it said is, how many of us have watched construction taking place? Sometime or other we have watched construction taking place somewhere.
Yeah.
Somebody
Yes,
will
sir.
mix cement,
Yes, sir.
sand, and then
Yes, sir. Yes.
small what you call bond layer, something they used to give it. Then
Sir, we are constructing a airport, Terminal 2.
Ah, good, very good. You're in L&T or Siemens? Which company?
No, I am Bial side.
Oh,
Bangalore
okay.
International.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Very
I'm
good.
a client. Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'll have one good friend when I come to airport next time. Good.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Okay. So what happens is when you do that, have you seen the maestri or the supervisor used to come? He used to say, Jaldi karo, bega mado, hattu bandle, 12 bandle, all that he used to say. Or when people carry the bricks and say that 6 bricks were being carried, they say, no, take carry 8, like that he used to say that.
Yes, yes, sir.
Observe what was actually they're doing. They're actually trying to improve the job process and making sure that within a certain given time, a portion of job is completed. Right? So you will say that after 4 hours, you will say, madhyana agoytu inno erraditi kuda kattilla. So these are all methods by which we used to say. So that from there only he got an idea. He started having people positioned who will watch how much time it takes to move from point A to point B, how much time it takes to pick something, how much time it takes to walk, how much time it takes to place something, how much time it takes to collect the empty, come back, recollect, like that. So this was the concept of the work study by observation. And then based on that, they said a typical worker should be able to do so many in a given time, maybe 1 hour, maybe 2 hours, maybe something like that. So that was the genesis of this. So that's how all these processes, observation, then afterwards ask the people why it was not done. Then he will say, no, sir, these are all heavy bricks. This is different. I can't do 10. I can do only 8, like that. So all this is possible. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is by observation, by interview, right, with or without questionnaire, right, and one will be able to identify the job content, the job process, the method of doing it of a typical good worker. That is the reason I used the word sometime back. It is not the current incumbent. So even when we do the competency model building analysis, etc., what we do is we take the best of the people and then we identify their characteristics and then say that that should be the benchmark. So that's how the job analysis goes. Is it okay? Fine. Have you understood that?
Yes, sir.
So this is the starting point. So once you do that, then what we do, now who are the people who should conduct job analysis? The people who participate in job analysis should be minimum the employee, that the best of the employee. Then employee's immediate supervisor. In addition, you should have a HR department representative and probably some SME, some job analyst expert, could be internal, could be external, who is very good in understanding that particular process in that particular domain, right? Then together they'll be able to bring out the best of the document, listing what is optimum and what is feasible. So the outcome of the job analysis will be job description and job specification. Okay. So what we will do, we will complete this JD and JS discussion completely. Then we'll take a break. Okay. So the job analysis that we have, I'll be referring to is again and again. This properly drawn up JD and JS will be useful as we go along, travel along in recruitment and selection, performance appraisal, salary and wage fixation, or what you call compensation management, training and development, career planning, health and safety, employer discipline. In fact, in every aspect of human resource management function in the organization, this will become extremely useful That's why I told you it is very, very important. The job analysis giving rise to job description and job specification. That's the reason why one of the assignments, part of the assignment in set 1 is JD and JS. So the job description answers the question, what does a person in the job actually should do? The job description should accurately reflect the duties and responsibilities. So we identify the job, right? We write out the job summary, responsibility and duties. Then we say what is the authority of the incumbent, because responsibility without authority is meaningless. So there must be appropriate authority delegated to the role holder or the incumbent. Then what are the standards of performance? That's why I use the word should be not the excellent employee, the best employees, right? Then special working conditions, tools, software, etc., which are required to do in the process of its job. Then what are the job specifications? So these are the details are required while working on the job description process. So job title, when did we prepare that? Who prepared? General nature of the job, major functions and activities, relationship. This job incumbent reports to whom, but whom he or she supervises, how many, who or she works with in the process of a job, right? And is there any working part outside the company? Then what are the major responsibilities and duties? Essential functions. Then decision-making authority, which direct supervision, is there any cost involved and what are the budgetary limitations? What are the standards of performance, working conditions? That means basically what it takes to do the job effectively. So when we write out the job specification, this answers the question, what human traits and experience are required to do the job? That is the job specification. Okay. It should show what kind of person to recruit and what qualities to look for and which we can test. So job specification will include the required knowledge to do that job, the required skills to do the job, and the mental abilities and attitudes to do the job properly. So job analysis will give you job description, job specification, whatever I discussed with you, I've just tabulated, right? You can look at it. Now I've given an example of a typical job description. I'm not going to read through it. A few key things only I'll mention. I've taken a front office manager, right, in a 4-star hotel or something. Duties: directs, coordinates the front office departments, which include XYZ sub-departments, proper upkeep. Guests are provided with safe, efficient, courteous service, duty chart preparation for the staff, weekly off, staff report on time, proper uniform, functioning of records, racks, intimations, arrival list, room position, then any special operations with respect to repeat guests and VIPs, then complaints, how to handle, then along with the HR department, how to do the training of the people, then unusual events, death, fire, theft, etc., complaints, how to handle that, emergency handling situations, right? Then he prepares budgets, 3 monthly outlook report, monthly statistics with respect to complimentary rooms given, regional room nights, monthly given to tourism or special people, prepares report to management about occupancy, reservation pattern, expected check-in and check-out, analysis of the past, and projection for the future based on the current booking already we have and the booking expected based on past experience. Okay. Then to do this, all these functions, what the person should be like? We say front office manager is responsible to, that means reports to general manager. All assistant managers and the staff working in front office will report to this particular person. So we say responsible to whom? who is responsible for who all. Then education. In this case, I've sent 3 years degree or diploma, etc. Experience. So and so experience. At least out of which so much must be at least in an immediate below position. Then what are the other qualities? So for this function, it's a hospitality industry, pleasing personality, good command over English, knowledge of some foreign language. Then the same way, we can write it out, the supervisor who is reporting to the front office manager, right? You can read it later. I'll put it up in the LMS tonight or tomorrow. You can read all this detail. So again, but here you see, we are going a little more detail, saying that not just the arrival rack and day ensures that no room keys are missing to prevent security risk, ensures all gadgets in the front office are working, meet and greet all guests on arrival, etc. Right? So it goes on and on. So to make sure that the people are properly uniform and groomed, then handling complaints, escalating to the higher up wherever necessary, then subsequent shift or particular next day, arrival, rack, etc., how to tally, how to give instructions to the people following the subsequent day. Right. Again, the same way, responsible to manage the front office, responsible for all the assistants. And here you can see we are not insisting on graduation, MBA, etc. A hotel management diploma or graduation is good enough, and a certain number of years. Then again, here also, pleasing personality, English, and we are saying Hindi and local language, knowledge of foreign language preferred. So this is where you must have seen even long back we used to say, what are all called mandatory specifications, policies, and which are desirable. So the word, some of the job portals you would have seen. So what are all the essentials we'll have to state, and what are all the desirables and preferred also we should state. So that when we actually go to select the people finally, we can see that the mandatory ones are definitely fulfilled. And the differentiating factor between selection of people will be probably based on the desirable elements. Okay. Then I also give an example of in a pharma organization. I've taken a case of a team lead. He is in stability analyst department, which is part of a quality assurance. So divided into operations, people management, infrastructure, feedback and control. You can see here. So the more and more organized you are able to give, it becomes to that extent much easier for people to understand. The incumbent to understand, the people who come new to understand, the people in other departments also will understand. It's also very easy based on this for selection, for development of people, for compensation, for every aspect. Based on that, we can develop the subsequent aspects. So this is exactly what the job description and job specification does. Any doubts in this? Most of you must be familiar with this in somewhere the organization is doing.
Yeah.
So probably what you should do, if you tomorrow you go through these examples, right, you will get a clear picture of exactly what you are talking about. It's very easy. You can go there. Yeah, please, can you please mute somebody? Other noises are coming in. Okay, now coming back to your assignment. What did we say? We said you have to give the job description of a accounts manager for a payroll, account supervisor for a payroll, and we also said your own individual job description, job specification. That's why I've given this example. You can see pharma organization, right? So whatever be your role, you take your own role and write the job description, preferably in segments. You can also write like a waterfall, one after another, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. It makes good sense to generally segregate into these subsections. As I said, becomes far more easier to draft, to understand, to check, to discuss, and act upon. So this is how I would like each one of you to write your own job description and the job specification. You can see here.
I have a doubt on the assignment.
Sorry?
I have a doubt on the assignment.
Yeah, tell me. That's exactly what you're discussing now. Yeah.
In that it is mentioned that it has to be only in account section and not with respect to any other section.
No, please read that. If you have it in your hand, can you read it? No, assignments are all specific only. It's not omnibus. It is very specific. There's a reason for that. I'll explain to you. What does it say? Anybody has got in hand?
Job description and job specification. Accounts manager in charge of payroll, salaries, payments.
Correct. Okay.
Then accounts assistant.
Fine. We'll stop that. So therefore, if you see a finance department has got number of functions, isn't it? Finance and accounts department.
Yes, sir.
So here I'm very specifically talking about the accounts department. In accounts department also, there are multiple things. You deal with purchase of material, you deal with payment to people from whom you bought. You talk about collection of goods, collection of money from those who have given on credit. Here I'm specifically talking about everything connected with the payroll administration. Because people have to be paid, isn't it, at the end of each month? Correct? So in the process, what activities are required to be done? So that's why I've taken it very specifically. In fact, in previous batches also, many of the people have simply taken accounts manager. They have gone to Google and copied something and pasted. And obviously they were
जा रही थी तबाय कंबोली अब नहाने जा रही है रुको 5 मिनट इधर ही बाहर ही
अभी नहाने जाएगा तो मैं क्या करूं अभी 3 बज गया शाम को नहाने के लिए बहुत जल्दी है दोपहर के तो लेट हो गया प्लीज गेट इट म्यूटेड थैंक यू गुड एंटरटेनमेंट इन बिटवीन हाँ ठीक है ठीक आप म्यूट कर दीजिए प्लीज
But then should it?
So when is the submission date, sir? Because I've joined in late, so I have not attempted.
Again, you keep on giving this as self-excuse. Please go to right.
So when is yes, sir? Because this is my first session, so will I get some time to?
No. You don't require much time, because whatever assignments given, people only sit in the last 2 days and write. You still have more than 1 week. Okay.
So.
But then should it be with respect to only payroll or anything else? Anything else also would work.
What do you mean? Assignment is specific, what is anything else means what?
In the sense other than payrolls.
No, it has to be only that. So that's why I want you to think. And again, please don't go and copy from internet and put it, because in internet, you will get a lot of general description of accounts managers. No, I want you to think. If you are working in an organization, you know what an accountant should do for making payment at the end of the month. So think of the job routine, that the job role, what should be done, what is the sequence of job, and then think about it. That's exactly the exercise. So it's very specific. It is accounts manager in payroll, account supervisor or accounts assistant in the payroll, right? And then your own individual job. So when you write your own individual job specification and job description, it is not just what you are currently doing. Please assume that you are going to resign next month, and that job has to be advertised. So what should be the proper job description and job specification for that job? You keep that in mind, and then you write that. That's what exactly we are looking for. Clear?
So we need to stick to accounts manager and accounts assistant for the first two category.
Yeah, whatever is given, that same way. Just go through it. Don't get worried. Read it through tonight, tomorrow. You will get all masala, whatever is required, right? Similarly, your own job where you are working. So exactly think as if your job has to be advertised, right? Don't start writing what you are every day you are doing.
नानी को दुकान को टिफिन
in section 1B, right, group assignment.
So we'll come to that. We'll come to that. We'll handle the group assignment a little later, right?
Okay.
Because in the context of JDJS, I'm mentioning about 1A, right?
Okay.
Later on, before the end of today, we'll take up group assignment. Okay.
Guys, can you please mute?
कितने लोग हैं पापा?
What is happening?
42 people are there. Please.
Sir, it's disturbing, sir.
Sir, if you mute Pooja or I think she
Let me see. I'm not able
Pooja
to see
or
here.
sir.
Wait a minute. यहाँ से देखता हूँ.
She has muted. She's muted, I think.
Huh?
Yeah, she's muted now.
Okay, fine. No, she was always muted. Only her people are talking. Okay. Now, let's look at another key aspect called competency-based job analysis. So first of all, we need to say we all have common understanding what is competency. Competencies are demonstrable characteristics of a person that enable proper performance in the job. So it's very important is the demonstrable characteristics. The combination of appropriate knowledge, appropriate skills, and attitude to do the job. Not only the aptitude to do the job, what we are talking about, many times you know that the skill to do will be there, but the will to do will not be there. That's why we have added the word attitude. So the competencies are a combination of this KSA, right? And the reason for competency-based job analysis is it supports high-performance work team. It focuses on correct job description, which is strategically focused. That means for a longer period of time, which will bring out the best in the particular role as compared to the competing organizations. Then it also subsequently helps the entire process of performance management in terms of measuring, rewarding, development, etc., all of them. So here again, the importance is role relevant competencies, not the incumbent or person based. So remember that. Again, when we talk about competencies, we generally divide them into functional or technical competencies, then the domain specific competencies, because even if let's say there's an IT role, the IT role for a person working in Amazon kind will be different, working in L&D kind of thing will be different, working in service organization will be different, and therefore we are talking about functional technical competencies for the job content and the job relevance. That's why we are talking about domain specific competencies. Then we'll be talking about supervisory leadership competencies required for every job, except the doer who's at the lowest level. Everybody else is managing 2 or 3 people, right? Therefore, supervisory leadership competencies also come into the picture. Then the higher order competencies, which are organization relevant, could be relating to strategic thinking, could be relation to sensing the environment, should be can be relevant to the brand management, can be relevant to the operations, quality assurance. So various kinds of things related, including cultural, ethical competencies. And this one, most of the organizations which I've seen list all these competencies, right? I think many of your organizations are having this competency and listing of competencies. Are you having?
Professor,
Yes, Professor.
Yes.
Many of the, but then most of them will be split, will be listing 1, 2, 3, 4. Is there any organization who has split the competencies as mandatory competencies and differentiating competencies?
Yes, Professor.
Yes, we are.
Any of you? How they have done it?
I think the first priority based on the job or kind of job, what you are doing, what competence is required, and then nice to have. I think it is not mandatory. That comes secondary priority, and sometimes good to have kind of thing that comes under category 3. So
Okay.
I think but that depends on the job description,
Okay. Any other organization following this kind of differentiating, mandatory and differentiating? From your own experience, I'm asking. Whoever is.
Whatever I have observed, Professor, is most of the software development jobs come with such a list where they list the technologies which
Correct.
are really required. And some additional skills which they say as good
like
to
this.
have.
I said functional domain, etc. I'm talking about a listing, right? Maybe 7, maybe 10, maybe 12, whatever.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They might not have split into mandatory and differentiating. Okay. I'll explain to you why. Second, these competencies, whichever you are having in your list, 7 or 8 or 10, against each competency you will rate, isn't it? On a 5-point scale or on a 10-point scale. How is the rating done?
Yes, while interviewing, like we have a spreadsheet kind of thing where each of the competencies, I mean, the JD points are listed, and on that we have to give some rating. I mean, out of 10, out of 5, and ultimately the average rating decides which person gets selected.
Exactly. Right. So this is where I will tell you two things important, which many organizations have not been doing. One is, I'll take a typical case which is easier to understand. Let us take, I have a sales officer for a territory. Okay. Now, the sales officer is very good in interpersonal relationship. The sales officer is very good in, let us say, sensing the environment, looking at, identifying important features which will become necessary as you go forward, etc. But let us say his communication skills are not good. Let us say the selling technique is not good. Will he be suitable?
No, sir.
No. Okay, we will reverse the situation. Now, there are two individuals, two people, sales officers. Both of them are very good in selling techniques, right? Both of them are good in communication. Both of them are good in product knowledge. Both of them are good in competitor knowledge. But then one person is much better in interpersonal relationship, and another person is better in terms of planning and organization. So can we differentiate between these two people now?
Yes, sir.
Right. This is exactly what I'm talking about. What I am talking, mandatory competencies are what you call the fundamental minimum, which are a must to do that role, whatever be the level.
Yes.
The differentiating competencies are additional competencies which will start differentiating the good, the very good from good, and the excellent from very good. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Right. Number 2. Now, when I have about 6 competencies in my list, now all of them are important, right? Now, if I say sales representative, sales officer, area sales executive, etc., most of these competencies will be common. As you go higher up, a few additional competencies will be adding. Now, the importance of certain competencies like market knowledge, like competitor knowledge, like selling techniques, are much more important for a person in the sales representative and sales officer. Whereas the planning and organization, the team development competencies, they are much more important for the supervisors and area sales executives and managers, even if they are not so competent in market and knowledge and competitive knowledge. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. So basically, you are telling like role-based weight factors, like what you have mentioned.
Exactly,
Yeah.
absolutely, exactly. So these are the two things which generally many organizations, whatever the reasons, I'm not saying all, many of them are not following. Usually you will have a role and you have a list, and you will give marks, like somebody said, 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. If there are 10 competencies, I will add up all of them. I will get 75 out of 100. Then I will say this average is 7.5. Somebody else will be 7.8. Somebody will be 8. So immediately somebody who is sitting there in HR department who doesn't understand the importance will simply say 8 is better than 7.8 and 7.8 is better than 7.5. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
In reality, it's not correct.
No.
So this is where, in fact, why I'm saying all this is because this is part of my PhD thesis done few years back.
Okay.
Right? This was the model competency model I built based on these parameters, right? And in fact, for in the Indian context, I was recognized as the first PhD to do it in this particular area, right? So that's how I'm very passionate about this. So if any of you are interested in more, you can always discuss with me later. But what we need to understand is this. One more thing I'll tell you, and then we'll take a break. Now, if I take a competency called communication and listening skill. Now, communication listening skill, both are important because a good communicator is one who is a good listener. Now, what I did, I have written down, it's difficult for you to read. So it's better now?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Right. So you read it anyway in leisure tomorrow, no problem. See, look at it. Listens and clearly presents information, fosters two-way communication, adapts communication to others, communicates complex effectively, communicates strategically. So when I say level 1, level 2, level 3, in that particular function, the lowest level employee, right, role holder, I will say L1 is important, but he should develop to become L2. The next level, I'll say he must be good in L1 and L2. He must develop himself to become himself or herself to 3. This is how we do that. Each of these levels will have about only 2 or 3 or at best 4 written down, so that this will become very, very easy for people to rate each of these competencies, because the supervisor who is rating manager, he will be able to observe this because he had been given the copy much earlier in this. This is called behavioral anchors rating scale. Okay. So this is a very, very effective methodology to have a competency based job analysis system. And once you do this, you can see as you go forward, you can use it comfortably for selection, for promotion, for performance evaluation, for compensation, for any number of things you'll be able to use. Coupled with what I said, split between mandatory and differentiating, suitable weight factors, etc. So if you do that for every job, then this will be a much more effective method of doing it. Many progressive organizations are doing it, but not necessarily very rigorously. Even in IT field, I know some of the companies are doing it. And when it comes to performance management, we'll discuss more how this is being used in performance management, right? And how some organizations are using it. We'll discuss at that particular point in time. So now we will stop here, take a break for, now my clock shows 3:16. So 3:30 we will reassemble. Okay?
Sure, sir. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I will pause the recording till then.
Okay.
Welcome back. Shall we start?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Good to sir.
Now let's discuss about what we call recruitment. So recruitment is a systematic process which starts from sourcing the candidates to conducting the interviews in a timely and cost-effective manner. So the purpose of recruitment is to get the adequate pool of qualified candidates. When I say qualified, because the candidates, when they apply, various kinds of information would be there. So we qualify the information. I'm not talking about whether they are qualified by degree or diploma or something. Here, that's why inverted commas. Qualified means, how do we qualify?
If they fit to the JD that was played before.
Excellent. Remember that everywhere, wherever you're going to talk in future, we will always be referring to JD and JS. Okay. So that will be, you can call it as Bible, Quran, Gita, whatever you want. So that is going to be the basis. So we get the adequate pool of qualified candidates from which we can select the required number of probable right persons. Okay. Why I'm saying this? Because it's not absolutely possible to get the right person. So that's why we say probable right persons. So the recruitment process will be starting with identifying the vacancy. That's identifying the number of job vacancy in each function. How do we do that? From HR planning. How does HR planning come in? It comes from the corporate planning and objectives. So we identify the number of vacancies, then prepare job description, job specification. Then we advertise the vacancy. Then we manage the responses. So simple. That's the process of recruitment. So what are the steps? Employment planning and forecasting. Recruiting means building a pool of candidates. Okay. A little later I'll explain to you recruitment and selection, we keep saying. So are they same? Are they different? If they are different, what way different? We'll discuss all that. So for now, we'll go with me. So building a pool of candidates, then applicants complete application form, review them, use selection tests like tests to screen out most applicants. We call it initial screening. Then get supervisors, others to interview final candidates to make the final choice. Then the candidate becomes an employee. Simple. This is the process. So we can look at it as a series of hurdles, okay, aimed at selecting the best candidate for the job. So recruitment is of two types. One is internal recruitment. The other one is external recruitment. What is internal recruitment? That is whatever filling in the position we do from people who are already within the organization, then we call it as internal recruitment. Because
in some cases.
Go ahead.
In some cases, people are on the bench, right?
No, they are already employees, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's all. So that's okay. Benches, that is, you are talking about deployment to specific roles.
Yeah, got it.
That's okay, right. So internal recruitment is filling a position. Okay. How does the position get filled? Let's say somebody dies, somebody left the job, right? Whatever, or a new position is created. So then in which case, from out of the internal sources, we take a person and then we laterally shift the person to that particular role. Same department, maybe similar department, maybe slightly different department, whatever. That is by transfer. So when we transfer, what happens? The position held by this transferee now becomes vacant. So that needs to be filled. Again, you will have to look at some other person available internally to fill that particular role. So if you fill that role by somebody who is at a lower position, then we call it as promotion. So through internal job posting. Then sometimes we also take re-employment of ex-employees because we think that they are the most suitable employees, provided the ex-employees have not retired very long back. So what are the disadvantages in taking people from internal? Advantages, we will say, they're all there for to see. Again, please somebody mute it. Who is it? Priya, is it?
नहीं नहीं हम काम कर रहे तुम्ही हम कुठं
अच्छा
Puja, it is Puja, ma'am.
अच्छा okay
Hi,
नहीं
Puja. Can you meet?
generally excuse me, generally for everybody it's better to get muted. Only when you want to speak you open, speak, and then go on mute. That will be a good practice. It will be easy to handle. Okay. What happens when you predominantly look at hiring from within, right? First opportunity to internal candidates. Then for whatever the reason, if you have not selected that person, then that failed applicant becomes discontented. Till then, that person must have been a happy employee in that position. From now on, you have created one discontented employee. Then, if you do inbreeding, it strengthens a tendency to maintain status quo. There is no new skill coming up unless this elevation is supplemented by the additional skills acquired by that particular employee by virtue of the additional training or education done either with the help of the company or otherwise. Otherwise, it happens the maintenance of status quo only, the overall effectiveness of the organization may not go up. Or the opportunity to inject new blood at a lesser cost is missed. But remember always, in most of the time, when you take the fresh talent from outside, they are generally available at a lesser cost. And they may be even better in terms of qualifications and probably some experience. Therefore, that opportunity we lose. Advantage I am not going to read through because obviously it's going to be beneficial for the employee and the organization. You can read it later. Now, all the manpower requirements cannot be met through internal recruitment. Let's assume that we want to fill 40 positions because we are expanding. Now, internal means what happened? We take from here and there and put 40. So other new 40 have become open now. So again, you have to anyway go to external source of recruitment. Right. So that is why the hiring of people, both from the point of injecting flesh blood and also in filling up overall, so it becomes necessary. Can you please go on mute? Hello? Can you please go on mute?
Sir, I think you can also mute her individually.
I don't want to be harsh on that. Let me see. There are so many people who are okay. No, but they can do it. No, it's
she is not identifying, so you can mute her.
No, it remains as of now. It says muted.
Yeah. Now it is muted.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So, but then hiring from outside involves a lot of money and lot of time, advanced planning and execution. So remember, because sometimes the process can take in terms of weeks and months also to get the right type of candidate, to get the right pooling, and from out of it selecting. But inevitable, external source of recruitment has to be done. And by and large in organizations, this is the biggest source of recruitment. So how do you locate candidates? Recruit via internet, through advertising, employment agencies, labor contractors. Then there are temp agencies, alternative stocking, because they give people in bulk and they will be treated as if they are temporarily loaned your own employees. There are a lot of team lease kind of organizations are there. Then executive recruiters, call them headhunters by different names. Then use of social media, very much prevalent these days. Then college recruiting, take them as trainees and give them grueling retraining and then bench some of them. And because why benching happens is because in anticipation of some projects, we take people. And you know very well that if every organization is bidding for so many contracts, not all of them we will get. So from my experience, tell me. Yeah.
Especially service-based organizations, right?
Yeah, any organization, anyhow, when you bid for something. In my experience, in my 8 years, I was handling projects, telecom projects somewhere outside, I used to plan for at any point of time, the pipeline should be 20 so that every quarter we'll have at least 3 or 4 successful. So that means I'll have to spend money for 20 to make sure that I have at least 3 or 4 ongoing projects. So that is the kind. So that means you'll have to have people. You can't, the last minute after getting the project, go and recruit people. Possible, but not always. So anyway, so that's different. How to manage project employees, if time permits, we'll handle in the last session. So,
sir, I have a question here.
Yes.
So, right now the trend is like, people, organizations are looking for immediate joinees, like, especially IT companies. But they have also their rule, like 90 days waiting period. So how they are managing the right people at the right time?
Managing, my dear, it depends on who needs whom at a given point in time. For example, I know very well there are many organizations which, in some organization they will say you have 90 days notice or 3 months pay to be paid. Correct?
Yes. Yes.
So the recruiting.
But when you are looking for a right candidate, how you will expect that right candidate will be available immediately when there is a 90 days notice period from the other organization also?
Yes, my dear. See, 90 days notice period is not for all the companies. There are some 30, some 60, some 90, some it all varies. Okay, from organization. And generally, we'll discuss if I need somebody, right? I'm not going to wake up tomorrow morning and think that I need to recruit and take phone call for 10 people and say, can you join by evening? That doesn't happen. That's why there's a HR planning, the human resource planning, where I need to know in advance how many. Sometimes what happens is some critical role, somebody leaves and go, but he can't leave and go, he or she, because again the same 90 days, 60 days time period is available for them also in this organization.
Yes, yes.
So if you want to relieve everybody every day, and then if you want somebody else to join, then obviously the problem is with the organization. That doesn't really, but what it happens is due to unfortunate circumstances, if some position becomes vacant, right? Or we have been negotiating a contract and suddenly contract comes and people say that in 15 days kickoff kickoff meeting has to be taken. And so you urgently need, some 1 or 2 technical guys and 1 or 2 project guys to be available for the kickoff meeting. Then you go and look around for somebody who can join at short notice. Because there are many people who are confident guys. If they are made up their mind to leave, they've already put in their notice and start looking for. So it is not that everybody is waiting only to get the job in hand and then resign. And some of the recruiting or some of the organizations which want people are even prepared to give half or even full of the notice period money for the employee after he joins this particular organization, a kind of reimbursement or in whatever way. So there are a number of ways of managing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one question. When you rightly pointed out the fresh energy and then the sources within the available organization. But when is there any statistical data that any organization should have some X percentage of fresh input always, every year, say for example 10%, 15%, so that they function efficiently?
Okay.
Is there any statistical?
Yes. Fine. Okay. Now you get this. Not this. This doubt will clarify in a different form. What is HR planning? Okay, I'll make it simpler. The question, right? January to March 2021. Does your organization know how many new positions are needed?
Yeah, that should be knowing to the organization at this time, because the new projects will be coming that time. Yeah.
Correct, isn't it? Therefore, you know how many are needed. Right now, what you will do, you will first look at people, what are the new positions come up, and look at people from internally can fill in. And once you fill in those positions, that position previously held by that person becomes vacant now. Agreed?
Yes.
See, I need a team lead. Let's say right now I got 5 team leads. I need 7. So where will I get people? Already who are part of the team members, 2 people I will have to promote. Okay. So assume that promotion policy, etc. we'll discuss subsequently in next class. But right now we'll say that I decided to have a what you call indoor policy. That means 2 I will scout around internally. Then let's assume that I have 60 people working as team members. Out of the 60, I'll have to select the 2 who are the best, right? Not just who are best in the current job, who will be the best as a team lead. If I have, then I will take those 2 people, right? Earmark them in the process. I know that over by January, February, etc. I will fill that position. Now this team member position will become vacant. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'll have to make sure that, okay, 2 team lead position filled by internal and 2 team member position to be recruited. Correct? Right. Now, let's assume that I looked at internal people. Unfortunately, nobody is suitable for team lead. Then what should I do? I should write in my diary or in my forward planning that by January end, I should have recruited 2 team leads.
Yeah.
That's all. So that's how the planning for every position goes. But like I said, what happens? Suppose one of the team leads right now, I have 5 people. I don't have any expansion plan. But let's say that somebody happens to be a lady candidate, gets married, and then wants to go to some other city, right? Then that person says, I am willing to pay up money, but anyway, I can't stay here, whatever the reason, family reason. So then it's a sudden position coming up. So in that position, what you will do, you will find the most suitable person internally from team member, act temporarily as a team lead, right? And then you will relieve this person and keep that one position, either team lead or team member, vacant to be filled in, and then look at the process. This is the logical way of handling.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Okay, where are we now? Okay, just some blank screen for a few seconds. I will change to the next module. Okay, based on whatever we have discussed, we will now take another quick case study. Please help me read this case study.
Should I go for it?
Yeah, anybody, welcome.
Oh no, I thought someone else wants to take up.
Sure.
Okay, and so case study, Globus Company Inc.
Yeah.
George Smith is an HR executive in Globus Inc. Recently, a vacancy opened up in the quality team for a senior software tester. George received a lot of resumes from applicants who were interested in applying for this position. George carefully screened each resume and shortlisted 5 candidates to call for an interview. However, Brand Thornton, the quality manager who would be taking the first round of interviews, was on a week-long vacation. So George informed the shortlisted candidates that he would get back to them about the schedule of the interview.
Thank you. Somebody else?
3 weeks later, George received a call from Kate, one of the shortlisted candidates. Kate was calling George to find out if the interview schedule had been fixed. George then realized with the start that in his busy day-to-day workload, he had completely forgotten that Brad had returned a week ago from his vacation. George was supposed to schedule the first round of interviews for the software tester position 2 weeks ago when Brad returned.
Okay, because George forgot, he didn't do that. Okay, now let's see what happens.
George calls.
Go ahead.
George calls Brad immediately to fix the interview schedule. However, Brad informs George that he is going on a business trip for 2 weeks, so he would be able to conduct the interviews only after he returns. George then informs Kate about the delay due to circumstances. Brad is disappointed that George didn't schedule the interviews in the earlier 2 weeks after he returned from his vacation and had some free time available.
Right. So George missed Brad second time. Okay. Now Kate, the candidate, is left hanging loose. What is the issue now? Is there anything which has gone wrong?
Planning, sir. Yes. One thing is that they should have informed the candidate that they are going to schedule, and later in the month, maybe because they were completely occupied, they should have done that.
What happens to the filling a position then? Informing is fine. I don't know how many organizations keep informing candidates. Your organization keep telling all the candidates?
My organization does. They are very up to date. Yes.
Which organization?
It's PepsiCo.
Okay, good.
That is key, Professor. Yes.
Yeah.
So even we do inform the candidates, and also in these cases, if the team manager is traveling, he's not able to take an interview, then we will immediately send out the meeting invite for the next available date, so that we will not.
But what has happened in the process? Good. That's a good follow-up. What happened in the process?
Loss of time.
Correct. So you have not filled up the position in time. That's the problem. Yeah. The real issue in this case is not filling up the position in time. Correct? So if a question is asked, what is the issue? Is that the reason for it is not planning properly, not following up, etc., all of them. So now the question is, how could we do it better?
Next available panel, interview panel.
That's all obvious. But how it could have been done better? Or rather, next time onwards, how do we ensure that this kind of flip doesn't take place?
Plan in advance.
I'll plan your plan.
So because he forgot, he didn't schedule the interview, so he need to set a reminder or something.
That's what they call flagging system. Okay. The flagging system is adopted by many organizations quite some time back. We used to do it even manual flagging system long back. So by which we'll have multicolor flags and all that. We will just keep it immediately, and that should be responded with scheduling software available. It should not be difficult at all, right? So it will keep on reminding every day. The moment you open it will pop up this to-do list, not completed list, and all that. There are a number of ways of getting it done. So
in the calendar also, so in the Outlook, there will be a calendar. You can put a reminder.
Follow whatever the system. The thing is, short of that computer coming and really hitting you on the face, everything else you can do it. Right? So you must have a proper system which every day reminds the people concerned, not just one person, but everybody else. So if, for example, if the manager is going out of town, is coming back, he will set it in such a way in that system that as soon as he logs in on that day, that intimation will go to various departments where the information that he has joined must be available. So a number of ways of doing it. Okay, it can be done. So that's what is required to be done. Now we will discuss about why careful selection is important. Selection is important. I'm using the word careful selection. What is careful selection? We'll discuss. Optimum individual performance leading to organizational performance. Otherwise, you will choose the best of the available candidates you will not get the best of the candidates. Then cost of recruiting and hiring, including the cost of rejects. Because whenever we talk about how much it costs to hire somebody, we'll have to look at right from the first exercise we have done to advertise to all the cost conducting interviews, various things put together, including the manpower cost involved internally, calculate and say that to recruit this one position, we have spent probably, let's say, 40,000 rupees. Because that includes so many people who are interviewed, rejected in preliminary screening, subsequently, etc., all that. So that is the cost of hiring. So the cost of recruiting and hiring is really very high, particularly in organizations where the employee turnover is high. A good portion of employee cost, if you see the salary cost, salaries and employee cost, not salary, employee cost, which includes salary cost in the profit and loss account, that will be very high, and good portion of it is because of this recruitment expenses, right? Then legal obligations and statutory liability also to be taken into account. Right? There are many cases where you have selected wrong candidates, they have to be sacked, or you found that it was inappropriate, right? So it is not easy just to sack somebody because of your own mistake. So all this should be taken into account, and that's why the entire process of selection has to be very, very carefully handled. So one of the good things which normally we should do is have an appropriate selection test. What is test? Is any instrument used to make a decision. When you have a couple of people to select, out of which some people to be selected, right? If a pool is n and selection is s, so s is always a subset of n. That means 10 candidates and you select 2 people. So you must have a way of discriminating the 10 such a way the best discriminated candidate 2 you are able to select. So that is the purpose of a selection test. So there are a number of methods used by various organizations, and that test can be basic skill test, then the specific job-oriented skill test, then psychological test. Remember we talked about KSA, knowledge, skills, and attitudes. So all of them should be covered as much as possible in minimum number of tests or in certain number of tests. Together it gives you the appropriate results to tabulate and intercompare the candidates. Because there's nothing like an absolute rating. The very purpose is intercomparison, because at any given point of time, out of so many you are selecting, right? So the testing is important because the more the testing, it works as a differentiator. Then to screen out bad or dishonest or uninterested employees, also screening test helps. So if you do proper screening test and have a good selection, you will have reduced employee turnover and you will have better productivity from best candidates selected. Any selection test which you use should be standardized, reliable, valid. So what do we mean by that? That means if I am going to select, let's say, account supervisor, right? The test should be standardized based on my job description, job specification, which we are going to write for account supervisor. And based on that, the test methodology should be identical whenever we select such positions. Then reliability means if something performs in a way, you repeatedly do it again and again, you must get more or less same results, and that's called reliability. Otherwise, if I sit for a test, right, assuming that I am good, right, generally I am expected to get 80%. So again and again if I test, right, I may get anywhere from 75 to 85. Suppose I get once 40, sometimes I get 95 and all that. So the test is not reliable. Therefore, reliability is very, very important. Then the test should be valid in predicting the applicant's success on the job. So if I am going to select somebody in the accounts, I should have appropriate structure of selection method which is relevant to accounts. No point in asking questions which are broad-based, which is not specific to that. So whatever the critical factors in the job which will determine the applicant's success on the job, so the test should be relevant to that. That's why it is relevancy and validity are very, very important. So the selection test could be cognitive test, assessing reasoning, memory, perceptual speed, accuracy, arithmetic skills, reading comprehension, so many, because very important, because these days most of the jobs are knowledge oriented jobs and most of them are skill oriented jobs. Therefore, the cognitive tests are becoming more and more important. In addition to that, there are many jobs where physical ability is also important. It is not just based on that muscle strength or something. It is also based on stamina and strength. Remember somebody who was to sit in front of a computer and then either the pad or even the mouse to use, after 4 hours, 6 hours continuously doing it every day, many people, their back will technically break. My fingers will become numb, difficult to move, right? After some weeks and all that, continuously doing clicking, looking and all that, right? And also staring at computer for hours together, right? Not necessarily I'm talking about data entry jobs. I'm talking about any job where you are going to use, right, computer. Could be doing design, CAD design using a computer, you can, whatever you want to do. So all this, then how much people be able to withstand that rigor of performing that job in that conditions is very, very important. So these things, otherwise what happens, even if they are otherwise suitable, later on they may fail, and because of that reason, they may start absenting themselves. They may start asking for an easier job, right? They may asking for a department change, or they may even resign and go to somewhere else. So a number of things are there. If you want to avoid all that, in the beginning itself, apart from the job-oriented test, you must have cognitive tests and also physical ability test designed. Then sample job tasks should be given, ask them to perform. So if I'm going to select people as programmers and coders and all that, definitely I should be able to give them a small portion, give a data set, ask them to work out, and then give the answers so that I will know really what they claim, right, is really true. Somebody will say, I joined this program, 1 year program, got a diploma from foreign university and all that, and I worked for 3 years, 4 years somewhere. Then you give them a good job, the fellow will not be able to, the person will not be able to write, good code. That means in less number of lines, they should be able to write a proper code which consumes less resources of the operating system and the computer. So that's very, very important. Then personality test and integrity test are also important. Okay. Then most of the tests are used basically, as I said, for comparative evaluation. Why I use the word again and again, comparative evaluation? Yes?
Yeah, because I think...
Yeah, go ahead.
Comparing with other candidates who's a person to be selected.
Do I understand? I mean, statistically.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm listening.
To statistically match the required skill.
No, simple. The reason is when I have 10 people, okay, to select, out of which I need to select 3 people. So how do I compare? So I will compare on the basis of each test, how much relatively they scored. It is not an absolute evaluation of that individual, but it's a relative evaluation. Okay. Okay. So that's why I'm saying that. And it's a little beyond the scope, Have you heard of 16PF and Big 5 test and all that in OT? And personality has been
not it, Professor. No.
Perform the personality has not been handled. Oh yeah, correct. It's only a second class or something. So you will probably learn more about personality factors and what are the tests available, etc. on that. So if you still have any things to discuss on that, maybe in the last session we'll schedule some half an hour to 1 hour on those things. Okay, I will tell you the different tests relatively, how and when it used, limitations. We can discuss that. Right now we'll go on a global basis, looking at what are the whatever the test from wherever you buy, right? What should be the characteristics of the test? What should be used is what we are discussing. Okay, because there is nothing like one test which is better than somebody else. At least you must have heard the word 16PF, you must have heard Big 5, all that. So all of them measure certain parameters. Some of them are good, some of them are individual cases. There's also a team compatibility or a group ability to work in groups test. Various things are there. Okay. And the tests are generally administered and evaluated before interviewing the candidates. Why we should do that?
I think to ensure that we have the right test.
Because with the moment interview comes in, the working managers will have to be present in interview, isn't it?
Right.
Therefore, you can't waste their time to have so many number of people. So generally what happens is, depending on the type of the criticality of the job, the number of people interviewed will be certain number of times the actual position. So if I have to recruit 2 people, I'll probably call 4 people for interview. If I'm recruiting 6 people, I may not call 12 people. I may call probably about 8 or 9. Okay. So based on that, the number of people are called in for the interview, and then the interview goes on next. So let us see what should happen at the interview stage. So as you rightly said, we have further funnel has become narrow. We have shortlisted the number of people based on the test. Initial screening is done. Various other parameters we have looked at. We have administered various tests, right? Job relevant, domain relevant, right? And cognitive. Then we have now got a list of people whom we can present before the interview panel. It can be individual, it can be panel. So the selection interviews, we will have to look at what should be the interview structure, what is the content of the interview, and how the interview should be administered. These are the 3 things we'll discuss. So type of the interviews will be interview can be for selection of candidates, for positions, it can be appraisal, for promotion, or for increment. It can also be for exit interview, where some critical people, when they are leaving, you need to know the reasons for which they are leaving. And this has got its own validity and limitation, but all the same, exit interviews are also very, very important. Now, when we interview candidates, you should normally have a structured patterned interview instead of a non-directive interview. And most preferably in senior level jobs, the interview should be situational problem solving interview. It can't just be a general chat. The situational problem solving interview can be, you can present the candidates with live cases within the organization without, of course, specifying the name, and ask them how they would handle it. Or there is what is called critical incidents method or behavioral situation interview, we call it. Both means slightly different, but for our discussion, we can take it as same, which means if a candidate comes, you'll say that if this has happened in your previous organization, your job, did it happen? Then you will say, yes, sir. So how did you handle it? Right. And most of the time in the discussion, if you see candidates, right, some of them think they are smart. They'll say, we handled it, they will say that. What is the meaning of that?
They may just want to get the job.
We means somebody may be actually handing you simply standing nearby.
They want to take the credit.
A lot of people like that. Credit is subsequent. But then that is the reason why you need to ask them more probing questions and ask exactly how it was handled. So don't say we, what was your part in that? Okay, so that's how interview goes. So that's why you'll see the next few slides will tell you how the good interviewer should behave. So in a structured interview, we have a preset list of questions. And when you have preset list of questions, then it gives consistency in the process. It helps us guarantee that all the candidates have a given equal chance by posing similar questions, right? Even if interview panel varies, right? The way it is done is similar so that you will be able to compare. What is the purpose of all this? Basically, you should be able to inter-compare and select the best. So that is the reason why structured interviews with preset list of questions are always better. But what happens many times, right? Situational interviews I've already discussed. In the non-directive interview, you don't get a very structured one. Minimum questions you have, and then is an open-ended discussion. Tell me, what did you do in your last job? Tell me what it is. So this allows candidate to have more free expression of their thinking. From out of the discussion itself, you will be able to pick up 1 or 2 points and further escalate discussion, right? That is where the interviewer should be smart enough to make the person say and then pick up the keywords. So you will have, if you stay away from casual conversation, okay, this is what we call casual conversation trap. So many times the interview will go in so many directions and people will be asking all unwanted questions. They'll be get carried away. Okay, then should it be a team interview or an individual interview? In the interview panel, it should be a panel or should be a single? What do you think? Which is better?
Depends upon the position.
Whatever be the position. Depends on the position, the number may be more or less. Because now the trend is to have representatives from various areas of organization who are likely to interact with the person or on the job. As many people as possible. But then the downside is question of logistics. The larger the team, the difficult to find time to pull all of them together. So that is why when you said important critical position, I told you long back, you have to decide on the criticality of the position. It also depends on how much other interaction that person will have with other functions. So based on that, you need to decide and have a proper panel constructed.
I think if the functional manager is okay, then he can request the candidate to interact with other managers. And
depends. See, sometimes you can have 2 rounds of interview. So in which case, further, to reduce the funnel, the functional manager at the middle level can interview from 10 people, he will bring it down to 6. But usually what happens is the judgment by 2 or 3 people are always better than judgment by 1 person. Right? That is the basic principle.
True.
Okay. Now, how much time you should have for interview? Generally, 20 to 30 minutes should be enough for junior mid-level positions, approximately 45 to 60 minutes for a senior level position. And generally, many functional people think that I'm very busy, so Thursday, Friday, I'll all for interviews. I'm willing to sit for 8 hours a day. That's not correct. Because too many interviews when you schedule, the interviewer also has got his interviewer fatigue. The person, however good he is, they can't function. Therefore, if the person takes 4 or 5 strenuous interviews, the efficiency, the person will run out of steam. They will not do justice to the interview. Therefore, taking these into account, you will have to schedule the interview. Now, pre-employment physical medical examination also very important, because the persons, as we discussed a little while ago, the baseline health, because of future insurance compensation claims, or if the person is not physically so good, health-wise, absenteeism, accidents he can cause, she is more dangerous, or the person may carry some communicable diseases which even that person may not know, like now happens in the case of asymptomatic COVID patient. So by the time you find it out, that person must have infected so many people. So all this, it requires that pre-employment physical and medical examination, right, is very, very important. Then background verification reference check is also very important, because it was found in some recent survey that 70% of graduate students, diploma students, they've always overrated and overpresented their resume to get the job. Even at the middle and top executive level, they found more than 20% have admitted to falsifying resume or exaggerating in some measure or other. So this is a fact. So that is why, while resumes are good, important, a guide, you will have to have your own method of finding out, and overrated persons, you must bring them to ground. But then verification background check reference is not easy. For example, anything connected legal, there are a lot of legal companies who will undertake for a charge and then look at it. But you write to previous organization, ask them to give their opinion about the candidate. Either you will get a general reply saying that so-and-so was working in our company from this date to this date. The candidate performance was found satisfactory. You will get a mail. Is that enough? You may as well not waste time in asking for that. Okay. And many people don't even reply, because it is not our job to keep replying, right? Unless some organization is very bent upon spoiling this candidate, right? They don't even bother to communicate. So the background check checking is important, but then it has to be done with kid gloves by the organization. That is and before that, there is a legal requirement in the candidate's application. Please get it signed in the application form that the organization is permitted to undertake background and medical physical check as required by the job precincts of this organization, and I agree for the same. Get it signed by the prospective candidates so that you can avoid some legal complications later.
So there are many background verification companies also, like the major companies like TCS, Infosys. We go approach these companies for it.
Agreed. That's how the companies came up also. But then the efficacy of it, you will have to look at it. I'm only saying that it is not 100% foolproof. It is something better than nothing. There are. That's why I use the word, these kind of professional organizations, legal organizations, they will go through and check, etc. But most of the time, if instead of depending on the candidate's resume, if you have your structured resume depending on categories of jobs, ask the people to fill in and ask certain questions in each one of them. You will get a lot of information. A beautiful preliminary screening questionnaire can be designed. I have done it for a few places. It can very well done it. So that will give more information, and that should be had before the interview. Then, of course, finally, you make a job offer. So generally, appointment letter is not given, because the person will take the appointment letter and then he may not reply. So difficult. So generally, the practice is make a job offer letter, right? And then ask the candidate to confirm. And then on the day of joining or something, the actual letter is given. That's much better to do it. And if require a physical examination or drug screening, whatever required, on the day of job, all that is to be done appropriately. so that if there's a time gap between the time the previous test is done and now, if you know that. Now, for example, these days, asymptomatic COVID candidates, I said that at least some rapid test on the date of joining, if you do, it's better. Then the selection dilemma. Should we look for fitment to the current job in question or capability to do at least part of the next higher level job? What will you do? You understand the question? Should we look for right fit, the candidate for the current job for which you have advertised, or you expect some amount of capability potential to do the next higher job?
The current position, sir, the current job we should look first. So in the matter of time, he will develop obviously the quality to fit for the higher job, I feel.
That is the hope.
But next, I think we should go for the second option. So
that is where what happened. Again, you go back to that. So you saw one example I gave you for the competency levels for one of the competencies, right? I showed you, for communication, level 1, level 2, level 3.
Yes, sir.
So same way,
we should go for the the based on the capability as well. If we have to create a pool of people.
Correct. That's okay. That's why I said while selecting test itself, you should be able, depending on the criticality of the job, your test should be such that it prompts the candidate to go for level 3 when you are selected for level 2, but level 2 marks are taken into account for comparison, and level 3 marks are also separately compared between the candidate, so that the final tilting choice between the top 3-4 candidates you will be able to make. So that is the way you will be able to get the right candidates for the present job and also people with potential for the next job. Most important, how do you handle unsuccessful candidates, particularly internal candidates also? You should deal with them courteously and sensitively. There are organizations which I know, after interview, right, they don't get any intimation. They go on hanging around, right? But usually what happens, a nice letter saying that thank you for attending for interview, etc. We find that we are not able to offer the job suitable to your qualification experience at this point in time, will be the nice way of communicating. Don't say you are rejected. Don't say we are not able to select you and all that. Just say that at the present moment, we are not able to offer the job, right, suiting to your present qualifications and experience. Thank you very much for attending the interview. And then you keep that candidate, if he is good enough, in the potential backup shortlist, right? If he's so promising, etc. Because by chance, the existing candidate, somebody selected, doesn't join, or suddenly new position comes up in the same level within the next 3 months or 6 months, you can quickly go through this and then try and see whether you, because you've already gone through, spent money interviewing so many things. So it becomes handy to keep them as the, what you call the panel list for the candidates. Now, which is important, recruitment or selection?
Both has their vital roles.
Both important, but see, why do I say recruitment selection separately? Because generally, most of the organizations, when they say recruitment, they automatically include it is offering a job to a candidate, isn't it?
That's recruitment, sir, because it's the end process. It will take you to the end process.
No, that's why I'm saying I'm making a distinction. For me, collecting the pool of candidates, initial screening, and offering them for selection is recruitment, right? And then picking the candidates out of them which are best suited and offering is a selection. That is how I use the word recruitment and selection. Whatever colloquially is being used is fine. So my way of suggesting is recruitment is the process of pulling together the possible candidates, screening and sending them till the interview stage, right? Then afterwards, select the right type of people is actually selection. Therefore, even though recruitment is as important as possible, because if you pool together hodgepodge candidates, you will not be able to select best candidates. So it's important. But then when they lead the question specifically, which phase is most important means the stage of employee selection, of identifying with the right skills and hiring the best qualified candidates is very, very important. And we'll just talk about another 5 minutes on an interesting thing and then close for the day. Have you heard of error type 1 and type 2? Those of you who are in statistical quality control or some of the engineering students might know. We must have studied it in class long back. Have you heard of error type 1, type 2? Nope. Any of you? Nothing to worry. If it's no, then tell me. We will proceed with the discussion.
We just know diabetes type 1, type 2, sir.
No. Okay. Simply speaking, this comes from statistical quality control, because in any selection inward material quality control with Indian Statistical Institute, we had done a project on this long back. Basically, this is if 10 items are presented to us to select. Let's assume that 4 of them are good. Okay. Our selection process is such that we do not select these 4 which are good. Please remember, not selecting the good and rejecting them is called error type 1. Not selecting the good and rejecting them for whatever be the reason is called error type 1. What happens in error type 1? What is the result of error type 1?
Eventually, everything is not in place. Everything is going wrong.
You are not selecting good candidates, period. Isn't it?
Yeah.
That's all. Now, let's say 10 items have come, out of which 6 are not so good. Our selection system is such, we end up selecting 2 out of the 6 as our candidates for interview. What is the outcome? What is the result of it?
You are selecting the wrong candidate.
You are selecting wrong candidates, and if input is wrong, can the output be right?
No.
That's all. So that's why we say
Type 2,
you
right?
should avoid both error type 1 and type 2. It happens in any selection, in systems, in supply chain, wherever you want. You can always apply this and then see, which only means to say that your selection process should be that you should not miss, right, selecting the right ones. You should not end up in selecting the wrong ones. So that is the meticulousness of the process you need to follow. Right. Okay. Just give me 5 minutes. We'll close for this. This is more for the general discussion. The last portion is not for any exam or something, but of topical interest. What is the role of technology in recruitment? I'll tell you what I want to say, but according to people present today, what do you think the role of technology in recruitment?
So we can do online sourcing for candidates.
Okay, good. We can do that. What else? How can we
have our own system where we can feed in the data, and then that functional manager can go through it and take a call?
Online tests like hackathon. That is happening right now.
Okay. Okay, fine. Now, before going into this, let's say which stage and which portion of recruitment selection is difficult to handle normally? Many of you have been sitting in interview panels. You are all been senior managers, many of them. Which portion you found it difficult to handle?
Do you mean?
Aptitude.
Yeah, go ahead.
Conducting aptitude tests.
Conducting tests for, I mean, if the number is large, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
More large number. Okay, but these days that's not that difficult. Okay. Anyway, what else you find it difficult?
Sir, are you asking like the level to which we are recruiting?
No. The level.
Sir, salary negotiation with the HR, salary negotiation.
That's in the last portion. We'll keep that. Salary negotiation.
In general, I feel like the second last round would be very difficult because now, in my experience, I'm talking about what I've seen is that there was only 1 or 2 position, and then you will have like 3 to 4 people for those 2 positions, and all of them are really good for the position. In that case, it's like it's going to be very difficult to choose 1 or 2 among those 4.
Okay. Now, to start with, for any position, you invite large number of people to apply. Right? Isn't it? Usually, for every position, you need large number of people to apply. Or you just get only one application and then interview and select them. How do you do that?
No, generally large.
The correct question.
Right. So when you have large volume of data, and then when you want to process them, because it goes through, I remember the word funneling, right? So the whole process is funneling. From a large number, you go on doing at various stages, multiple filters, and the bottommost, you want to get the right one. Correct? That's the process. So in that process, the AI technology, softwares are there, applying machine learning, and also what you call sentiment analysis on looking at job description. And from large unstructured data set, the way people have written. So all this analysis can help us in the first most important stage of screening from a large applicant. And if you have a structured resume format, to some extent you can, even then people fill in whatever they want, unless the resume is so structured that doesn't allow any leeway for the individual. They must only select what is there. They must write only certain words and things like that. Even then there are people who can write sentences in such a way which is padded or overstated. So the technology is available now, software, where the large volume can be handled very quickly instead of, because usually what you have what you call recruiters in HR department, isn't it? The lower level people who actually do the so-called screening, either looking at the profiles or calling on telephone and asking for clarifications, etc. So all those things will be able to handle. Additionally, to assess experience, skills, abilities, etc., there are special algorithms which are available. Again, for everything, remember, if your JD and JS is very good, then all this can be done. Because if you start with a wrong JD or inappropriate or insufficient JD and JS, obviously your selection also will be so bad. So that is the reason why I spent a lot of time in JD and JS. That is the reason your assignment is also based on JD and JS, one portion of it. And most important, all these frontline people who sit in HR, recruiters, etc., after all, human beings, they've got their subjectivity and how many they can screen every day, right? There's a called the fatigue. That fatigue and then this instability between people, human bias, this very much eliminated by having this AI assisted systems. And that's the usefulness of technology and the software in the initial screening. Then these days, most of the workers are remote. It's going to be the case. So there are a range of AI recruitment software and tools which test skills, organizational fit, potentiality, personality of a candidate. And other thing also what we do normally is, there are many people who don't really apply, or there are people who put their names in Naukri, Master and various, or even LinkedIn. Do they go and apply for every job? In fact, many of you would have put your names, right? You don't have to identify, I'm just saying.
No.
So these are all, we call them as passive candidates. You are interested, but you are not specifically applying. So now process is available. I can use and scan through all these numerous database, and then I can find the talent, hidden talent on various things. I can go and try to poach these candidates, right? Poaching is the wrong word. I'm saying that in modern language, I'll say that I can go and give them good offer. Now, chatbots can be used to pre-screen candidates now so that subjectivity is reduced and accuracy is improved. Because the candidate will be thinking he's talking to somebody, but it's actually a candidate is talking to a chatbot. And some of the companies also have got what you call the employee value proposition. What is that employee value proposition? Simply, it's a unique skill set of benefit that an employee receives in return for experience, capability, and skills. And every employee is different. Every critical employee is different. And therefore, there must be a customized strategy for hiring. Somebody talked about negotiating at senior level in terms of salary compensation is difficult, isn't it? Right? Somebody mentioned recently.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now systems are available. Some of the systems using this Boolean keyword, such as identifying this natural language processing, resume clarification, or you at the final stage, you give an assignment suitably designed, ask them to write something and give it to us before negotiation, or ask them to justify why they want, not generally, in portions of various elements of compensation, and that can be analyzed. Similarly, these discussions can be captured on a video, and generally most of the organizations have, and the facial expressions can be analyzed for the mood, stress, and personal traits during the course of that discussion, particularly in the final stages. But all said and done, the ultimate selection is more of an art, but can be supplemented by science and technology. Ultimately, it is a decision. So any decision comes with a trade-off. As I said, don't make error type 1. Error type 2, definitely don't make it. Whatever causing you to do type error 2, eliminate. Type 1 means at least somewhat tolerable. You lose a good candidate, you can again look for, select, and get another one. Get a wrong one, getting rid of that person, because by the time you get rid of, the system gets spoiled. Think of it as a small electronic component. Wrong components are used. Huh?
We had that issue like
one
of the bad candidate was selected, and it was like it happened like we spent almost 6 months for the get rid of the person.
Correct. I know that, and that is the reason why it's better to be safe in the beginning than sorry later.
Yes, sir.
So we will conclude today's discussion. Thank you for your patience. And if any one of you want any questions on the group assignment, you can ask. Others can log off. If anybody has got specific doubt on the group assignment about presentation, you can ask questions.
So like in the group assignment, like since I am from like section A and I'm part of group 1, there are like some members are from the section B in that part of the group.
No, they are not. You have not seen the LMS which was posted up yesterday, or the mail sent by Rajan sir.
Okay, that one new thing. Yeah, okay, the new team. Okay.
So, and even there, I'll tell you what I have done. I would have done the grouping in my own way, but since it's already done, I have tried to retain the grouping of OT and MM as much as possible.
Okay.
I have not disturbed very much within that. And then I always believe that 10 is a very big number, because physically it is difficult to coordinate between 10 people and discuss and all that. So that I always believe 5 to 6 is good enough. But even then the number of groups increases. So I have gone for 6 or 7 per group. So just an example. Let's say some group number 6. Already 7 people belong to some group of the OT or MM. I've retained the 7 as that group itself. In some other group, let's say 4 people are from one group, 3 another group of some other group, the OTMM. These 4 and 7 have combined and made it as one group here. So that's how I have done the grouping. I have also given this classification briefly in my note yesterday, right? Yeah, so most important for this is interact between yourself. There is no cross match between section B A and B. I have made sure that, okay, don't worry about it. Okay. And in this particular thing also, I have mixed and matched in such a way that different educational background, different functional background, different types of organizations are come together in each of the branches, so that you get the versatility for discussing various types of group discussions. So just to quickly repeat.
Sir, I'm in group A, but in my LMS it's showing group B, sir, for group discussion.
You have joined, you are Kurat, is it?
Yes, sir.
You are in the last group, group number 10. Go to LMS and check.
Okay, so I'll be in group B or what, sir?
You are in section, there is no group B. You are in section A.
Yes, sir.
Log into LMS, and in the LMS, you will find all the details about it. Okay?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah, take care. No. So, basically, you interact between yourself. My suggestion is select, if a group is 7 people, select 2 people for assignment 1B, select 2 people for assignment 2B. Okay, keep them. Right? This is only for coordination purpose and for presentation. No need for a video, no need for a PPT. Just have the questions and answers only and come ready for December 5th class. And one by one, I will call the order in whichever group way you can present it. And then I will also give some assignments for other groups to carefully listen to presentation by other groups. And based on that, we will do the final evaluation. And if any group member is not participating, please be good enough to mention in the report who had not participated, who had not contributed. It's very important, right? Don't be good to fellow learners by encouraging who are not participating, because this is a proper forum, some discipline, some involvement we expect. So in the interest of everybody, please do that. Other than that, I have nothing to say. Any case study, particularly bigger case study, read it once. Don't look at the questions. Then second time you read it, mark in pen or pencil important sentences which you think are good, relevant. Then the third reading, you take up the question and then go through and see whether you get the enough answers from whatever you already marked, from the certain relevant portions. Do not go and check in internet, right?
Sure.
Go to internet, copy and do it, right? Marks will not be there. It should be in your own words. Simple words are good enough. No need to use big jargons, because what we want to know is your understanding of the basic concepts which we have discussed in the class. So that's all what we are requiring. So I wish you good luck. Any individual, any doubt they have, I will stay for another 10 minutes to take the questions. Others can leave, as I already told you. Any doubts you have on this process? Any doubts?
Can you please? So for group assignments, I think it might take some time to discuss among the group and coordinate. The last date for submission, is it for group assignment also December 6th, or it will be like that, or it can be extended?
No, see, if you extend, I can extend, but then subsequent class you'll have to present, isn't it? Anyway, it is not the question of date wise. I'm saying that you usually, one discusses over 2-3 days and finishes off. Okay, it doesn't take 15 days to keep on discussing. That's why the group is smaller now, not bigger. So ideally, you should be able to do it. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, because it's a very small group, some 6 people or 7 people at best, and many of them are you are already in other groups, so understand only a few must have come from other groups, right? And this case is not a very long case, so go through it, because if we finish, then we'll have time to discuss other thing, and the next case also you'll have to invest. See, unfortunately, the group formation was given late by administration to me. Otherwise, my case study was uploaded almost 10 days back.
Yeah, so, my intention was like, for the group assignments, at least, that if there would have been a initiation kind of thing from your side, like how we'll start the group discussion, or like in a classroom.
Hello, that is up to you. As I said, this is exactly why I said you should generally, the leader or coordinator emerges with the group. Somebody takes the lead, somebody follows, And any group discussion, it happens. Right? There's no process which I'm setting. I'm telling my suggestions as to how you can do it better. It all depends on how you interact, right, between yourself. Whether you give 5 days or 10 days or 15 days, if you have the right process, it happens earlier. That's why, as I said, go ahead and do it. And if fifth we are not able to present, it will get shifted, mind you, to 19th or something like that. It goes so far away.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
Yes.
remember that. And by the time the next group discussion presentation will also come into the picture. Your classes are ending in January 2nd or something, I suppose, right? So that's why probably this time you'll have to exert a little, try and do it this particular case. And I will put up the next case immediately in the next 2-3 days. And that you can keep interacting separately. And that, I think for that, the presentation date will be 19th or 26th or something for the set 2B. Okay. But you need to have enough time to go through the syllabus, and also I want to spend the last class to discuss about the exam questions, pattern, how to answer, and various things and all that. So we need to have sufficient time, right? Anyway,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
the better you are able to do it. But most important is that you are knowing about yourself. The KYC kind of I've given. If all of you fill it up and send, it will help me to understand better, right? Then we can accordingly, my presentation, the class can also much improve, right? Because right now I am based on my hunch. I am trying to say whatever I think is relevant, right? Within the confines of the syllabus. And how many of you have seen the book in the PDF form book in the LMS? Have anybody had a chance to open and see?
Yes, the book downloaded and I have gone through, means just overlooked the first few pages, and also another book you have given, right? Not only that, another one.
Which one?
I think not yours.
Which book?
One is Gary.
Dessler is the book which is prescribed in the syllabus.
Yes, yes.
That's the one which is prescribed.
Yeah, that is the e-book. And
Professor, which edition, Professor?
No, any edition is good enough. See, there is a Dessler and Varkey. Okay, I am professor. Combined Indian book is there. The only difference is a little bit of Indian examples will be there. Otherwise, the content is very same. Okay, I requested Rajan sir to get the PDF of that, not yet, because there are copyright issues. We can't simply take PDF and put it. It is not even available. So the one which is put in that is more than enough. But again, I tell you, I understand, because I am also a student. I am online learning something else. I'm a lifelong learner. So I don't expect you to read all the books of all the subjects. You won't have time. One best method is, whichever book you take, there is summary or there is preface in each of the chapters. Read that. That will be very good enough. And after that, there is at the end of the book, there will be something like index or glossary. So where you will have keywords. So look at the keywords, come back to the page, and then go through that paragraph or two or something like that, right? That will give you much faster learning. And then you can amplify it with more number of pages as you find interesting in that particular section of the book. So you can do that simultaneously with my PPTs as an amalgam of almost 95% of what you think in the book, plus few other books and my experience put together. As far your examination is concerned, my content in PPTs and like I said, summary kind of reading and books should be more than enough. You shouldn't have any worry, because I'm going to give you exam sample questions. I'm also giving you sample answers, all that, how to handle, all that we'll discuss. It is too early to discuss, but I will take care of that in the last session. Nothing to worry. So let us learn first, okay?
So one PDF I have seen, like another one, that is must read on human resource management from HBR.
They are all articles, my dear. They are not books.
Yeah, the articles, yes.
Articles are meant for your additional reading.
Okay.
They're all, not everybody has got enough time. There are some people who are good readers and who spend a lot of time reading. So sometimes we put up articles, right, relevant articles, and which help some people to read more, because each person is interested in different subject. Somebody in HR, somebody in marketing, somebody like that. So whoever is interested can read through this.
Okay.
And these kinds of additional articles, the best way to read is download it and keep it in your mobile when you are traveling in a bus or car or something, when you are not driving, right? Then, or anywhere you're waiting for something like that, quickly pull out and read a few paragraphs. So that will be more interesting way of going through that.
Yes.
Hello, Professor. This is Mervin. Do you have any for the assignments, right? For the 1A and group and individual, do you have any preference like Word file, PDF, present?
No, I have given that. It should be only Word file. I've given it very clearly. And also I have given how to name. It's good that you raised this question. Many people, they write in the Word file, right? No name, nothing is there. They write assignment 1 and then upload it. When I download and see it, I'm not able to make out from whom it is. So I'll have to download, add your name. That's why I've been given how the file name, not only for this, as a good practice. If, for example, this assignment, if my name is, let's say Mervin, I'll say Mervin underscore assign 1A, right? And then I'll give the file name. Then inside the file, on the top, I will write HRM assignment 1A, Mervin, etc. If it's a group assignment, I will do that. The Mervin underscore group 1, then dash HRM 1B assign. Then in the first page when I open, I'll say Mervin. Then I will write names of all the group members. Then we'll write which member has not contributed. Then question 1, question 2, question 3, like that. We'll give the answer and then upload it.
I don't seem to see those instructions on the Word file. I'll maybe go through the LMS if it's there.
Go through the LMS. It will be there.
Okay.
Usually I make it a point to write. If it's not there, I will go through myself. I will add it up. Don't worry. Okay. Right. If there's no other question, we can call it a day or whatever is left.
Yes, Professor.
Okay, then. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Have
thank
a good
you.
evening. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for the session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tamil Pata, Parva Nadag Nalliya.